creating live broadcast. Wait, did it say creating live broadcast? It shouldn't. It should be using the one I already did. It better not have created a new one, or I'm gonna shoot it. Nope. There, it's coming through. This is live. I don't see any video yet though in the preview. It just says we're live. There we are. I'll see us.
Is this thing on?
I think it's working. I think it's working.
We good.
I think it's working. Okay, so now I gotta put here. Let me. Now I can push enter on all the. We're live. Come here. Wait, did I put in the wrong?
That's right.
Okay.
Twitter,
tweet, and then Facebook.
Gonna
I set them all up, but like right before I click go stream, I set them all up so I can just say enter, and just send it all out on all the networks.
Nice.
Because YouTube sure as hell don't advertise us anymore because we're too edgy. We're too edgelordy. So
Edgesters. We should play Evanescence in the back.
Oh damn it! Now I've got the Daredevil song stuck in my head.
Oh yeah.
Which one? From Evanescence.
Oh yeah, okay. The Brad the Ben Affleck.
Yeah,
Daredevil.
Yep, the Ben Affleck Daredevil. Yeah, I probably should have clarified that because there's quite a few different ones.
Yeah.
You know what? I watched the TV series and I never really got into it, but I don't think I really gave it a solid chance.
The Netflix one is tremendous. It's really good. Charlie Cox is a great, like he plays a good like the lawyer side and the Daredevil side. It can be a little whiny. I think there's a little bit of the whole like moral quandary thing gets a little meh. But
I watched like 3 episodes. I couldn't get into it. Does it get better? Is it one of those ones where you just keep watching and it gets better?
I think so. Yeah, it is. It's pretty good.
Because I like the idea of the Daredevil character. I like even the movie with Ben Affleck. Like a lot of people didn't like. I liked it. I thought it was a little Batmanish, corny, like with Bullseye. But
that was terrible.
Bullseye was the worst character ever.
Just the way, man, that was
like the most laziest makeup ever. But no, I actually enjoyed the movie because I like the idea of like a dude who's blind, but his senses are so sharp. Right. You know what it reminded me of?
Shouldn't he be Batman?
Totally. He should be. He can be Batman with his eyes closed. He doesn't have to cut eyes he doesn't have to cut the eyes in the helmet. It's freaky looking. I do think it's funny though that Daredevil, he actually has eyes in his costume. I think it'd be cooler if he didn't. Like if it was just flat across there, because I think that would like strike fear into the enemies. They'd be like, "How's this guy seeing what I'm doing?"
Yeah.
What it reminds me of is what was his name? Is James Carradine? Does that sound right? The
guy from Karate?
Yeah, the Karate dude.
Yeah.
Was that James Carradine? Something Carradine.
Hung himself?
Or is it David? Was David Carradine? What the hell?
It is David. I think it is David.
It's David Carradine. Okay, yeah.
He was in
like
Kung Fu.
That was the show. Or whatever.
That was the show. It was called Kung Fu.
Yeah. So he was in a movie called Blind Justice. And it reminds me a lot of like the Daredevil movie. Like I feel like the Daredevil movie kind of could have borrowed from that. But then again, the Daredevil character was already well established by then. But so it might be the other way around. But Blind Justice is about this guy who like
and stuff.
He loses his eyesight in the Vietnam War or whatever, and it like a phosphorus grenade goes off or whatever, and it burns out his eyes. So he's blind from that point on. And so he goes and like trains to do martial arts, like completely blind, and becomes like this crazy martial arts master. And his cane turns into a sword. Like he pulls his cane out, and it's like a samurai sword. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it's actually a good movie. I mean, it's a little corny. It's definitely the 80s kind of cringe, but no, it's actually a really good movie. I just watched it like a couple of months ago, and I was like, man, I remember this from my childhood. Like, he like cuts the brim off of like a guy's hat or whatever, and like cuts his cigar off out of his mouth or whatever without touching him with his blade, and he's like completely blind.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Like there's a scene where he's like driving down the street and in a car with these guys, and they throw his sword, they throw his cane out the window, which is like his sword, right? They don't know that, but they chuck it out the window, and he hears it hit the ground, and he like starts counting, and he knows exactly how far he is away from it. So when he finally takes him over, he gets out and then turns around and drives the vehicle back like that same distance. It gets out and finds the sword. I don't know. It's corny, but it's good. It's like it had Daredevil vibes.
Right. I think
that was Ruger Hauer. It was Ruger Hauer. Damn it. Why did I think it was Carradine?
I mean, they got a similar look.
A little bit, yeah. But yeah, no, Carradine, that's a different story.
Yeah.
How did
Blind Fury
Hauer die? I know he's not still alive. I haven't seen him if he's still alive, man, that dude's like flying under the radar. Let's see here.
Didn't he play the bad guy vampire in Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yes, I think he did. And he died in 2019. Really? That's not that long ago. I thought he died like long
he
long
was
time
in
ago.
Blade Runner. He was the freaking guy in Blade Runner.
That's right. Yeah, he totally was. No, Rutger Hauer, man, he was really famous back then. God, was anybody not a ninja in the 80s? Like no. I feel like in the 80s, every single action star, with the exception of like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, were like ninjas. Right. You have let's see, you have Chuck Norris, you have Steven Seagal, which I wouldn't even count him. He's such a joke. You've got oh God, what's the other guy's name? Jean-Claude Van Damme, White, something Jay White. God, what was his name? Sean J. White, Michael something White, Michael J. White. I'm getting close, but you'd know him if you saw him. He's been in deodorant commercials and stuff. He was the other black guy that was in the deodorant commercials, other than Terry Crews. You remember when they switched between the two guys? He's like on a horse with white pants on. He's like riding on the beach, and he's doing the old Spice.
Yeah.
That guy. Yeah, Michael J. White. Yep,
that's it. Okay.
Yeah, it was Michael J. White. Yeah, dude, it's like everybody in the 80s. Oh, Miss Barnacules is awake. Yeah, I'd love a coffee, honey, if you're up.
What's
I hope Xander didn't wake you up. I told him not to wake you up, but I probably woke you up by like bumping my foot on the floor. I have restless leg syndrome, so I stop bragging, dude. Stop bragging. Ox is like showing off like his full like super breakfast burrito that he got like delivered to him by his wonderful wife. Stop bragging. Oh shit, we got Metal Jesus in the house. Holy shit. Metal Jesus Rocks himself is in the house. The Metal Jesus. He said, Enter the Ninja in 1981 is the best. Yes, it is. Enter the Ninja's badass. Was Rutger Hauer in anything where he wasn't a ninja? Because I feel like he was always a ninja.
Blade Runner.
So Blade Runner, he wasn't but I thought he didn't shoot with swords.
He's not a ninja. No.
He didn't?
There's no swords in Blade Runner.
Oh, I'm thinking of the new Blade Runner. I thought the new Blade Runner dude had like a sword.
Not that I recall. I admit I've not seen it enough times to really have a good feel for it, but I don't. Maybe knives or something. He might have had a knife. I think it was a knife in Blade Runner.
What'd you think of the new Blade Runner movie? The 2048 or 2047 or whatever.
Oh man, it's kind of weird.
It's slow as shit. Like it was really slow for me. I fell asleep first 2 times, but then when I finally made it through it, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Like if you're awake.
I definitely want to kind of go over it again and really pay attention. I know I came off of it like, okay, it's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, the visuals are amazing.
I feel like I don't consume some of these movies, like the original Blade Runner.
Yeah,
there's a message there. Like you're supposed to like, oh
it's
man,
thought, like really.
Yeah, you're supposed to be thinking like about the nature of humanity and like what is it that makes a person. You know, like
layered.
Are these androids or whatever? Are they alive? Am I alive? Like how do you define that in a like ethical or spiritual sort of sense? Because like there's a biological definition for life, but like the battle with Data, is he alive? Like right?
Yep, the Star Trek thing. Yep.
And those sorts of questions are supposed to come up like while you're watching, or like at the end. You know, you're thinking like, oh shit, was this? You know, were these guys, these replicants, really the bad guys here? You know, like,
like it makes you feel bad for them, even though a bunch of them are like doing bad stuff.
Yeah,
but they're no worse than humans. That's the thing is like, how are they that different from humans? They're just trying to survive. It's fight or flight. It's eat or be eaten. You know, and it's so yeah. It kind of makes you think. It's like, are these like, and they are for all intents and purposes biological, right? I mean,
I think they get into that in the newer one. They show like the manufacturing
like clones in a way.
Yeah. And I don't think they touched on that in the first one. They may have explained like how they are made or whatever, but it or like Westworld, right? Like it's a similar sort of thing with Westworld, and I tend not to put my mind into it like that. When I watch a movie, I'm there for like the story, right? Like I'm more passive in my consumption of movies. I want to be told a story. I'm in it. Like I like to suspend my disbelief and I like to be in it.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like I missed some of the more intelligent or like intellectual side of especially Blade Runner, but other movies too, where like I'm not really considering some of the bigger picture questions.
See, for me, it kind of lost me because of the really slow pacing of the dialogue.
Yeah.
Like my ADHD gets ahead of it, and I start like trying to be like, okay, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What tell me more. And they make you wait. Like it's one of those weird movies where the music controls the tone a lot of the movie. And so you get a lot of this like long drawn out sessions that feel like minutes of this music playing with like the the cinematics and everything. And by the time they get to the next scene, I'm like already like over it and like what happened before this? I forgot. Like it just doesn't hold my attention very well. But man, everybody I know that's like, one of my cerebral friends is like, oh my God, it's the most amazing movie of this century. And oh my God, they absolutely killed it. But I'm like, no, more. That movie could have been shortened to about 45 minutes, and it would have been the most amazing movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, like I'm trying to recall the newer one, and like I'm wondering to myself, like what are we doing here? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? I don't remember exactly.
Oh, Metal Jesus said Anna de Armas is the reason to watch Blade Runner 2049. She's purty. No, she's definitely a beautiful woman. Oh my God. Well, she was just in something new recently too. I watched something. What was it? I just watched a movie like recently in the last couple of weeks, and I was like, wait a second, I know who that lady is. Like, she looks familiar. And I was like, oh, she's the hologram. She's the hologram from 20 from right. The new Blade Runner. So she's in other stuff. So obviously she's got some range. Oh, iRobot, the book. I never read the book, but I watched the movie, and so again, it's another one of those things I liked it.
Completely
really?
Different.
How different?
Totally different. So like everything.
Oh, so they took some liberties with the script on the movie.
Yeah. So like,
we got Will Smith. It's got to be jokes.
I devoured Asimov as a younger lad. Read everything, but like I'm pretty sure I've read everything Asimov ever published. And as I recall, iRobot was more of like an anthology. And I could have this wrong because I did read like everything. So like I might be mixing things up. But iRobot was like like an anthology of stories about AI and how like things could go wrong and how the three laws are how they are interpreted by the AI.
Oh, so Isaac Asimov. Okay, sorry, I had to put that together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
No. I should have got that. Like my brain is still booting. I need coffee.
I do recall a story as part of the anthology of somebody like investigating a murder that was trying to be pinned on a robot, and that's not supposed to be possible. Like it's built into the core of their like AI brain that they cannot harm a human being. Like that's rule number 1.
Yep.
You can't hurt a human. 2, you have to do what a human says, and 3, protect yourself. Like in that order.
Yeah, specifically.
Like you can't protect yourself if it's going to hurt a human. You can't hurt yourself, or like you can hurt yourself if a human tells you to, because you have to do what a human says, but not if the order from a human is going to hurt another human. And so there's a whole investigation of like, well, how could this robot have done that? It violates rule number 1. Like you're not supposed to be able to hurt another human being or allow harm to come to another human being.
That was possible. The one. Yeah.
Things like that. And so, yeah, about robot murders that should not happen. Robot series of books, sort of. I remember there being one story in particular that then they follow in the movie, because there's other stuff too. Like it goes on, like there's one story about there's like one big central AI that is handling like trade routes, and like it tells like, oh, this country needs to grow more corn, this country needs to do soy, or this one needs to, and in how much. And they're like, well, this is really strange, because the AI is like telling Thailand to, like, Thailand could grow more soy. Like, why are they only doing like 60% of what they can do? Like, why is this AI doing that? Like, isn't it? And it comes around to the AI grew, like, reinterpreted the laws and like came up with its own zeroth law to protect humanity as a whole, even if it means harming like a few humans.
Yeah, I thought that was the workaround in most of these movies, is like you protect humanity by like enslaving humanity and like locking them up and putting them into suspension and stuff, like all basically everything short of just killing them to protect them from themselves.
Yeah,
because what was that? Wasn't that like, oh no, that wasn't iRobot. What was the movie where like all the androids started like locking up the people they were protecting? Like there's a movie where like the androids were, like these robots were like locking people in their houses, and they wouldn't let them leave because they're like, oh, if you leave the house, you could get hurt. So we're going to protect you by not allowing you to leave. And then the robots would like be like, oh, well, you don't have food, but technically it's not me hurting you if you don't eat food. Yeah. But because it's not the one that's allowing harm to come to the human being as it sees it. So the humans are basically like starved and like stuck in their house and can't get out because it was something along those lines. I don't know. It might have been a Black Mirror episode or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but the premise is that the robots decide to reinterpret the rules themselves. And they're oh, we need to protect humans, so we're going to protect them by just basically locking them in the house and not letting them out.
That is
oh, it was iRobot. Okay, that was the iRobot movie that happened in. I haven't seen it in a very, very long time. Let's see here. Okay, so the big foundation story really started at iRobot and Robot R Daniel, what is it, Olivia, who gets the ability to read minds. Yeah, I have
good stories.
You know, a fun fact, I don't read a lot.
Oh man.
I see I've missed out on a lot because I've most of my media over the years, because I was dyslexic like horribly as a child. So I didn't do a lot of reading, because especially when I got a little bit tired, it was really frustrating. I still have dyslexia today, but the thing is, as long as I'm very interested in what I'm reading and it's then I don't have a problem. But if it's something that I'm reading that I'm not interested in, I'll trip it up and I'll read the words out of order and stuff. It's really bizarre. It's like, you know, some people have selective hearing. I have like selective reading. like there's just certain things I cannot, like I'll read the same sentence 3 times wrong. And so I never read a bunch of books. I think maybe 2 books in my entire life I read that weren't like technical manuals or educational material. Like, and one of them was Buck Rogers, which like was a paperback novel that came with one of my SSI Dungeons and Dragons game back in the day.
Yeah.
Something like that. Oh, have I tried audiobooks? Yes, I have listened to some audiobooks. But again, I haven't listened to any audiobooks that are stories. They're always audiobooks with a purpose, like how to learn something or do something.
Yeah.
I probably
Unfuck Yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a great book, by the way. If you haven't read there's the Art of Not Giving a Fuck and Unfuck Yourself. Those are 2 books I highly recommend. That I have I have the paper. I actually read the paperback version of it, but then I got the audiobook and listened to it again, and I'm like, this is good stuff. There's actually some really, really like nice little gold nuggets in there, and it's one of those books where it's like it has a lot of reread value, where it's like go back and revisit it every 6 months and go through, because it's like really easy to kind of like get off the path. And then like read it and then come back to it. It's got some nice little tidbits in it, but
there's good stuff.
Yeah, the whole premise of the book is the Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and then they're similar books, but they're way different. You want to read them both. The Art of Not Giving a Fuck is based on like how much energy you expend on other people. So it's like, how much energy do you have total to expend on yourself and expend on other people? And then it basically goes in deep and creates like thought experiments as to how you use your fucks. Basically, they're like tokens, and you only have so many of them. And it makes you look at things differently than you normally would.
It really does.
It does. Like when you think about it, it's like, okay, should I give fucks about this? Like, okay, I care about this person, but by caring for this person, what does that do for me? You know, does that help me? Does that make me feel better? Or does that baggage of caring for that person, you know, do nothing but pull me down with no benefits, no upsides? And like how you can navigate that situation and turn it around. It's got some pretty good stuff in it.
That's a cool concept too, because like in other areas, like people with like chronic pain and or illness or whatnot who only have so much, they can only do so much in a day. There's a concept of spoons. I only have so many spoons.
Yep.
And it takes like, you know, maybe this task is like a 2-spoon task, or this is a 5-spoon task, but I only have 12 spoons in a day. Or another concept that got similar, but from like Dungeons and Dragons, is like spell slots, right? You only have so many spell slots in a day. Some tasks are easy and take like a level 1 spell slot. Some tasks are really hard, and so it takes like a level 9 spell slot. I could use a higher level spell slot to do a smaller level task if I have it available, but I cannot use a smaller level slot to do a big task, right? Like, so taking a shower might be like a level 3 task. Well, I can put a lot more energy into that if I don't have like, you know, the energy. I can really push, but then I'm not going to have enough to do the clean the kitchen task, right? Because I can't use a level 2 slot for a level 5 task, that kind of thing. It's similar
and
sort of thing.
Like, spread them out, right? You don't want to use up like all your fucks like at the beginning of the day, because then you'll have you'll have nothing to give when you need to give them. Like when something comes along, it's like going into a store and being like, oh, I spent all my money on a Slurpee, so now I can't go get any food. It's like you have to budget it. And one of the things I really like.
Sorry, I can't talk to you right now. I don't have the spoons available because this is a very heavy topic or whatever. Yeah. That's smart. It's a good way of and what is really hard though is a lot of the people who are in those sorts of positions where it is a good idea to use these concepts. It's really hard to set the boundary and say, look, I don't have the whatever. I don't have what I need to do this thing, because a lot of times you want to help out. You want to be there for people and like, you know, spend energy on them.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and like that, I think is the biggest. First is realizing like I only have so much to give, and then being strong enough to say no.
Yeah.
Or I can't.
Well, if there's one underlying, like if I was going to TLDR the book, that basically be what it is like knowing how to say no. That's probably one of the biggest foundations of the book. Like the way they reword it, they reword it in, you know, economics, basically, where your fucks are income and you only have so much income to spend. But at the end of the day, it's like justification for saying no. Because like for me personally, it's really hard for me to say no. For years and years and years, it was really hard for me to say no. And it's still hard today, but it's a lot easier now that I've found other ways to deal with it, even with therapy and stuff like that. But it's like ultimately saying no can actually help a situation, not just for you, but for others too. And that's another thing you don't realize. It's like, you know, like a really good example of this would be like, let's say you had a friend that was like badly an alcoholic or something like that, and they were drinking themselves to death. And they're like, oh, please, could you go buy me a bottle? Could you go get me a bottle? Hey, I don't want to drive. Go get me a bottle, please. Okay, so you could stress out, you go get them the bottle and you could give it to them and they'd be happy in the short term, but in the long term, you're just helping them kill themselves and you're helping them get into a worse situation. So saying no, and then instead using that energy that you would use to try to pacify them, you use that energy to sustain yourself through the relationship and try to help them. It might be the harder path, but that's better. That energy is better spent for the long run or the long outcome. And
you have to be selfish to be selfless.
That needs to be on a shirt, dude.
I think I can't remember where that came from, because like there's a lot of nuggets that I gather from different places, but I think that was a Gary V thing, but he probably got it from somewhere else too. But yeah, you have to be selfish to be selfless. Like you can't save the world, man. You can't do it all.
Yeah, like
if you can, like it's big.
No. When I was doing my Twitch stream, I was telling people that like one of the things is like expendable income, right? Like when you're a content creator, expendable income's big because people can't give you what they don't have, right? So I used to have people all the time saying, and they still do on occasion, where they're like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, times are tough. I don't have any money. I can't, you know, subscribe. I can't give bits or something like that. And I'm like, no, because here's the thing. If you overextend yourself, then you'll have no ability to support yourself or anybody else long term. But if you put yourself first and you take care of yourself and you build yourself up, then you'll eventually get to a place where it's like you can sustain other people for a long time. So it's like you do have to be selfish in that situation, because like if you give somebody the shirt off your back and you give them your house and you give them your car and you give away everything you have, you eventually get to a point where you're so far underwater that you can't help anybody else, and then you become the burden yourself. So it's like you have to be selfish and take care of yourself. It basically can all be summed up with what the airlines say, right? Put your mask on before helping others. You know, it's like put your oxygen mask on before you help anybody else put theirs on. Because if you put a mask on somebody else and then you pass out from hypoxia, and now you become the problem. Now everybody else has to help you. It's like, no, secure yourself, take care of yourself, then take care of others. And
100%.
I think that a lot of people lose that. I think that's something that they lose because they feel bad because there's need around them and they feel bad that they can't give that help or they can't give that support. And it's like, no, don't feel bad about that. Like, focus on yourself and get yourself in a position, because long term is more important than the short term.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is this? Have I watched what is it? Euphoria on HBO Max? This conversation reminds me of that show. No, I don't. I've never even heard of it. Here, let me write that one down. I'm going to put that in the list of stuff.
I've heard good things. The teenagers watched it. It's very mature, so not for Xandar.
It's funny, if a cuss word comes on the TV, he just covers his ears and runs out of the room. It's hilarious.
Oh, no, I'm talking like boinking and stuff. Like, it's pretty heavy.
He just think that they were wrestling and tickling each other.
The teenager was like, "Man, I'm really glad I didn't watch this with you guys. Like, this would have been really weird to watch with." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I didn't, because like I was able to get like the first few episodes, right? And because like I thought it would be an interesting thing. Like, I know my lady and the teenager like watching some of these like teen drama style shows and stuff, and I thought it was just like, not Riverdale, like campy like that, but like, I don't know, like there's a few of those teen drama things like out there that are actually pretty decent. Like, it's pretty good topics and whatnot. And she's like, "Man, I'm really glad I didn't watch this with you guys."
Well, there's 2 seasons of it. Okay.
Yeah. They just wrapped their second season fairly recently.
Wow, I've never even heard of this, dude. This is like the first I've heard.
It's got Zendaya in it. This other gal that's pretty big in the.
Oh, the Disney lady.
Zendaya, yeah, she is.
Okay,
but
I like her. She's from Spider-Man, right?
The other gal in there, the other main character is pretty big too. I can't recall her name.
I got the synopsis right here. Rue is a 17-year-old drug addict with mental health issues, and her life hasn't been going according to plan. After being released from rehab, Rue's going back home and befriends a trans woman named, and then it got cut off and okay. Well, it sounds like that sounds like that could get into some deep shit. So
it's cool.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to add it to the list of things to watch. I've been finding some really good shows lately. Like, I can't believe I waited this long to watch Snowpiercer. That's like my new favorite show.
I need to watch the show. The movie was fucking great. I love the movie.
The series is literally nothing like the movie. It's like a complete rewrite, but in a good way. It's like it's another telling of the story. And
I mean, it's got Jennifer Connelly. It can't be too bad.
It's got Jennifer Connelly. You can't. True. And that's why I watched it originally. Is I saw, wait, Jennifer Connelly is in a thing again. Oh man, I got to watch this. No, it's absolutely good, and it's one of those shows where every episode builds on the last one, and it gets more intense all the way through. So it's like you watch the first episode, you're like, okay, that was interesting. You watch the second episode, you're like, all right, this is heating up a little bit. This is interesting. And then by the time you get to the end of season 1, you're like, stuff's happening that you're just like, you can't even wrap your brain around. You're like, horrible things. Like, it's a really dark show. But no, fantastic show. And the premise of the show is basically that mankind gets wiped out by an event that they propagated themselves, just like the movie. That's where it shares with the movie, is that mankind puts some chemical in the atmosphere. It creates a nuclear winter. And the only survivors on Earth, or the only known survivors on Earth, are on this train that's over 1,000 cars long. Think of it like the Titanic or the Ark, but it's just a giant train, and the train has to continuously move. If the train stops, then everybody will freeze in a matter of like 10 minutes and die. So the train always has to be in motion, and it's like 1,000 cars, and it just circumnavigates the globe constantly. Like, and it's been going for like 18 years or something like that. It's some crazy interval of time. And the whole story is basically like, how do you maintain classes? How do you maintain order? How do you maintain like how do you handle the poor? How do you handle the rich? What does capitalism look like when everybody's packed this close together, and power struggles and stuff like that? But it's pretty dark, but also like pretty telling. Like, it focuses a lot on like stuff we deal with, but just amplified because everybody's closer together. Like stuff that, like war and stuff. Like, war actually breaks out and happens on the train, right? It's like, but what does war look like when you can't really go around? You have to just go through cars, right? It's like, what does war look like when one faction's on one end and another faction's on the other, and they're literally just meeting in these cars that are only like 50 feet wide? I mean, it's a giant train. Weird. It's way bigger than a regular train. It's like a massive train. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like you explain it and you're like, okay, that sounds kind of weird. Like, I wouldn't want to watch that. But no, it's really, really good storytelling, really good writing. The characters are all good too. That's the thing. It doesn't have a lot of dud characters. It's like every character has a really, really good arc, a really good background. They're introduced really well. And the thing I like the most about Snowpiercer, and there are very few things do this, is where you find yourself rooting for the bad guy.
Oh, right on.
Snowpiercer is one of those shows where it's like you were like, I want to kill this person. Like, this is the most terrible person ever. And then it's like fast forward 5 episodes, and you're like, oh, now I know why they did it. Like, I'm rooting for him now. You know, even though they did terrible things, it doesn't change the fact that they did terrible things, and the context in which they did them were absolutely horrendous and unforgivable. But then you start to see more and more about what life was like leading up to that point, and like what their alternatives were that you didn't know about and stuff like that. And then you're starting to go, okay, I get it. Now I know why, you know, they like killed that kid, or, you know, stuck somebody's head outside of the train to freeze down to negative 300 degrees and like shatter. You know, it's a trip. It's a trip. So yeah, watch Snowpiercer. I think it's on HBO Max too, if I'm not mistaken. Really good show. Really, really good show. And my favorite show right now by far is God damn it just slipped out of my brain. The new Marvel adult thing with the butterflies in the head and shit. Why can't the Punisher? Not the Punisher. My brain just John Cena plays the main character. What's his name? Peacemaker.
Peacemaker.
Yeah, that's man, my brain had a huge fart. Great show. Oh my god, if you haven't seen Peacemaker, just know that it is incredibly dark. It is incredibly adult. It's not like,
it's like James Gunn, right? He's running the show.
Yeah, and they let him really, really go. Yeah. Like, it's a trip. It's a trip. It's funny. There's a guy in chat. He's like, "Goodbye forever." I don't even know who this guy is.
Yeah,
like,
wait, what is that?
You never said hello first, though.
Yeah, I was scrolling back to see if we missed something. What do you mean?
You gotta say something and introduce yourself before you say bye.
In context, like, is this like maybe a show or something? I don't want to jump to a conclusion here, but I mean, if you have to go, it could be. We're gonna miss you. I think Reacher was freaking great.
Oh, like Jack Reacher, or
no, it's a show on the Amazon Prime. It's just called Reacher, but yeah, it follows the first book of Jack Reacher, and it's good. Like, the only thing that I didn't like about the movies is Tom Cruise is like 5'8", okay, and maybe 185 pounds, maybe 190, right? Like, he's a built dude, but he's small. Okay, there is no. I've seen him standing next to Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman is like 6'2". Okay, he's got to be like 5'8". He's an average sized gentleman.
Yeah.
Jack Reacher is described very explicitly in the books as being like 6'6" and 250 pounds. The dude is a monster. Okay, so that's the only thing I have to say against the Jack Reacher movies is Tom Cruise is not physically Jack Reacher. But beyond that, great movies. I thought they were good. Reacher, the show, they got this dude, and he's big. He's a fucking Reacher. Like, he's a dude. Like, kind of got to stoop a little bit to get through the freaking doorways and stuff. The monster, he's not as like physically imposing as I thought it might be, but he fits the description to a T.
Okay.
Good stuff. And the show is really good.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Jacked Reacher, that's right. Jacked Reacher. It's pretty good.
Wait,
I like it. And
I'm 5'7", so he's 3 inches shorter than I am, and I'm not very tall.
But there's some controversy around how tall Tom Cruise actually is. I don't think there's like a real official thing.
I mean, they were cashing in on the name, right? They wanted the Mission Impossible guy to, like, front run their show. And they're like, all we got to do is buy an apple crate to put him on in every third scene, and it'll be fine. Like,
but yeah, it definitely. Oh yeah, he was in Blue Mountain State. That's right.
Metal Jesus said Peacemaker does look good. Heard it had a funny musical intro. Oh, the intro is amazing. The intro is amazing. And John Cena, I never thought I would ever say this before the show came out. I never thought John Cena would be like this good of an actor and this funny of a dude. Oh my god!
You know what was funny too? He was on an interview apologizing for talking shit about The Rock for, like, I guess years ago, John Cena had said some mean things about The Rock.
Well, the wrestlers, they shit talk. That's what they do.
Well, but he was like ragging on him for not putting more effort into the wrestling thing, right? He's like, oh, this guy's just trying to do all these movies. So I don't know exactly what he said, but he said some mean things about The Rock for not taking the wrestling side of things more serious.
I see where this is going. Yep.
And then he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, I did not realize how much goes into making these movies. Like you don't have time. Like you don't. Like it's constantly all the freaking time. Go, 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 go. And like now I feel real bad about like, and I'm so grateful now that he paved the way for guys like me who can like make this jump from wrestling to acting, like real acting, you know. It was like, oh, that's kind of cool thing, cool, a little humble. Yeah, and then the whole like Taiwan thing, like that was kind of dumb, but whatever. It was just kind of cool to see, like, oh shit, he humbled himself a little bit.
He can fluently speak Mandarin Chinese, which is like one of the hardest languages to learn. So regardless, I mean, even though he said some stupid crap, it's like he's obviously a really smart person, which is funny because it's like he reads as a meathead. Yeah, he reads like a Neanderthal, but he's actually like a really intelligent person, and I like that. I like the
play that character too. Like to play the Peacemaker like that was really good. I've only seen in the Suicide Squad movie, but
dude,
great character.
They make him even crazier than that.
That's great.
But the best part about it is in the show, like in the movie, he just comes off as like this asshole, like, well, he still does in the series too.
Kind of a jerk.
But he comes off as like this jerk, asshole, like childish person that just wants to run around and murder people. Like he gets off on it. And that is true to his character, but they give it so much more depth in the TV series than they did in the movie. Like in the TV series, you start to realize that he's actually like he's a really emotional person. And all he wants is like his daddy's love up to a certain point. And he has an eagle and he names it Eagly because he doesn't know, you know, and like the eagle freaking hugs him and loves him and does everything he tells it to because, but again, it's like he doesn't just expect the eagle to do these things. It's like he treats the eagle like it's his child and he absolutely like loves it and shows affection for it. And it's just weird to see him play a character that's like such a badass in the movie. And then he kind of like turns around on the TV series and you realize that he's just like this really emotional, like, you know, mentally not all there guy that just wants everybody to like him. Yeah. That's what it comes down to is he basically just wants everybody to like him, but he's just really quick to anger.
Yeah.
Plus, like the other characters in the show are absolutely fantastic. So highly recommend that. I've been enjoying it. There's not a bad episode yet, honestly, in my opinion. I absolutely love it. Hey, I want to thank some of the super chatters. GT, thank you for that $2 super chat. Theodorus, thank you for the $2.29 super chat. Love the show. Keep doing it. Hey, we will, man. John O'Rourke, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. And J Twit 25, thank you for the 46-cent super chat. We appreciate it, man. Let's see here. He said, wait. Oh, we got. Is that the Mr. Hewlett in chat?
I don't know. It seems fake.
It's got a wrench next to it, though.
Yeah, he's probably hacked.
Do you think so?
I'm just being.
You mess with him. I was like, I don't think he's that good. He said, I'm like the opposite. Play smart on TV. Trying to get down to join you guys. Family day visits. No worries, man. Hey, like whenever you can sneak away without the in-laws getting mad. Well, here, I think we got enough people in here. We can start jumping into topics. What do you think?
Yeah.
Actually, first off, I want to tell you guys I did actually sneak it into the topics, but I want to tell you guys I have had some terrible luck lately. Oh my God, have I had some terrible luck. So you guys, if you've been following me over on Twitter, you know that I bought 3 LG C1 OLED screens for the Nerd Cave that were going to be the new screens to replace my dying 5-year-old.
And then you got picky about it.
I got picky. No, you're absolutely right.
No,
I did.
If my shit was going dim and bright like you were describing, I wouldn't be able to handle that either.
So OLEDs have a problem that nobody really talks about. And it's great for movies and games if you're in a dark room and everything. But one, they're not very bright. They're actually even dimmer than my screens that I have now. So OLED, you give up a lot of brightness. But the perceived contrast is higher. So if you turn off the lights and you're in a dark room, it looks bright as hell. Like the contrast bump when your eyes adjust is amazing. But it's just, you turn on lights in the room, it's just not bright at all. And the other thing is when you take a white window and you drag it like this, it goes from like being brilliant, blinding white or whatever to white to gray. And it has to do with they can't drive all those LEDs simultaneously, so they have to back the power off as the window gets bigger. So and because you don't see a lot of full white or full black scenes like in movies. So Sony does a good job of like fixing this up. They also charge like another $600 or $700 per screen. So anyways, long story short, I didn't like the LG C1s after living with them for 2 months. So I sent them back to Costco, went through a horrible return process with a bug in their system. It took 68 days to get my refund on those screens. And I couldn't buy the new screens until I got refunded for the old ones. So I waited 68 days for that. Then when I got the refund, my TV in the room broke. So
you put your thumb in it.
Yep. So well, it was already dying. Like it had a array of backlights that were already burned out. But then I went and moved the TV, and I put my thumb into the screen, and it cracked the LCD. Like pushing the screen back. I'd done it a million times before, but this time I just too much pressure, and it shattered the LCD. And I was like, crap. So now I got to replace the screen that's in the bedroom. So I go to Costco again. This time I'm just like, the whole problem with Costco's return had to do with a bug in their system with returning through the mail. But if you return it to the store, it's fine. Like if I had just taken them to the store, they would have refunded me that day and it would have been fine. But I'm like, I'm still going to go to Costco to buy my next screen because I want that 90-day return policy, no questions asked. Like literally, you could drop the monitor out of the back of your truck and shatter it into a million pieces, and Costco within 90 days will still give you a refund. Like they're crazy like that. So I'm like, I'm going to buy the TV from them. So, but keep in mind, this is a 75-inch TV that just the TV itself with no stand on it weighs like 95 pounds. So, and it's huge. It's massive and unwieldy. So I get Graham over to help me install it. Hey, there's Miss Liz. It's good to see you. We've missed you. So Graham and I put the screen. It takes us like it took us longer than we thought to get this thing unboxed and all set up. And I sit down finally and I turn it on after I've already been through LCD hell with the LGC ones. I broke my screen in my bedroom. I finally get the new screen in there. It's all set up. It looks wonderful. It's amazing. It's like got every feature on it that I wanted, like no complaints. It is a fantastic screen. I sit there for 1 hour and a giant streamer of LEDs in the middle of the screen from the top to the bottom just turned blue and green and start flickering. And I'm like, shit. And me and my wife, we're just sitting there watching. It worked great for an hour. And then this stringer of LEDs up the center of the screen just go completely like green and blue flickery. And I'm like, no. So I send a message to Samsung. They get back to me the next day. They're like, oh, nope, that's a dead panel. You need to take it back and replace it. And I'm like, so now I got to get somebody over here again to help me take the TV down, put it back in the box. I got to hope it fits in the Forester so I can drive it back because I had it delivered through the mail. Drive it back to Costco. Otherwise, I have to return it through the mail again, which is going to be a huge pain in the butt. And then they got to send me another screen and I got to set it up. And who knows, that one might break too, right? It's like I'm not having a lot of great luck with these screens. However, I will tell you this. I think this was a returned screen. And the reason I think this was a returned screen
because you got it from Newegg.
No, everybody said that. Like when I mentioned what happened on Twitter, like the first 3 comments were, oh, they Newegged you. So everything I've ever bought from Costco has been new, as far as I know. Like everything I ever bought from Costco, you open up, it's brand new. Well, we open up the screen to install it. And the first thing that I noticed when we pull the foam off of it, because everything's in its bags and everything looks like it's fine. But I look at the screen and there's no film on the front of it. There's no protective film. It's literally just right up against the styrofoam. And I'm like, there's no way a manufacturer would ship a TV with styrofoam touching the screen. So, and plus, if you've ever installed a big screen, like a 65-inch or bigger, they always put these foam panels on the front sides of the screen with a film so that you can grip it with your fingers to put it up on the wall. And then once it's up on the wall, then you peel those away and then you pull the big, piece of plastic off the front of the screen. It didn't have any of that. It just had packing tape on the side of the screens that looks like it was applied by hand. So none of this kind of registered with me when I was unboxing it and we put it on the wall. Oh, actually, it did. I told Grandma, I was like, dude, like, where's the film? Like, isn't there a film usually on these things you have to peel off? And it wasn't there. We looked closely. There's usually a tab too off to the side where you grab it and pull it. And so I go watch like 20 videos on YouTube of unboxings of this TV, and every single one of them, they hang it on the wall and it's got the 2 foam boards, and they peel off the foam boards. They peel off the screen protector. So I'm like, son of a bitch. So my screen that has a dead row of pixels in the middle of it, this is probably a screen that was returned by somebody, right? After they banged it around to beat the shit out of it. And they brought it back and they put it in the box. And then they just, all the accessories and the stand and everything were all still sealed in package. They just took the screen out and hung it up. Maybe it was a display model, like out on the, out on the floor or whatever. But I was like, oh man, Costco, you're breaking my balls here, man. You're like selling me used stuff at retail price. Now, to be clear, Costco will never have a problem. Like Costco, you can bring anything back for any reason. But the reason why this really hurt me, broke me mentally, was I have to get this 100-pound screen somehow off the wall back into a huge box that just the box weighs like 60 pounds. I have to get it back into this box with everything fitting meticulously with all the little foam bits and everything like that, which is always a big pain in the ass, even with smaller screens. Then I have to figure out how to get that into my vehicle, drive it back to Costco, unload it, take it back and get a refund, and pick up another screen, bring it back, and then repeat that whole process over again and hope that I don't have any dead pixels.
Dang.
So I'm like, so I am, dude, I don't know what it is with my luck in screens lately, but it's been just a nightmare. Hey, Gimpy, thank you for the $5 super chat. We appreciate it. So we should pour one out for the QN 800A. Yeah, that's the model. That's the model I got. But the thing is, oh my God, one, brightest screen you've ever seen in your life. Like I've never seen any screen, doesn't matter, computer, projector, nothing that puts out the brightness this thing does. It'll blind you at 100% brightness. Like I was like, holy crap, this thing is bright. And it's because it has a full array mini LED backlit screen. It's like the first generation, I think, of this technology. And it's so bright. And every input on the control box is HDMI 2.1, which none of the other screens seem to have. Like they always have one. This has 4 ports that do it. Nice. But the TV had some features I didn't even know. It's an 8K screen, by the way. But again, nothing's going to drive it at 8K. So it's all just upscaler stuff. And so I plugged in my PC, my HTPC, and I put it at 4K 60 because I don't have a good enough graphics card in my HTPC to do 120 hertz at 4K. So I do 4K 60, but there's a feature on the TV I didn't even know it had when I bought it called like, what is it? Game smooth vision or something, game mode something. Basically, it's a frame doubler, like they have on TVs to make the video smooth. But it's designed for games, and it only adds 5 milliseconds of input lag, which for me is imperceivable. Like I can't even perceive 5 milliseconds. Yeah, right. So I turned it on, and now you get 120 frames per second in Forza when the GPU is only handling 60 frames, and it looks absolutely flawless. And there's no perceivable input lag that I can notice with the controller. So I'm like, this is badass. Like, but I can't believe the processing power that must be involved in doing that. Because my old TV had a smooth function, like for movies and stuff like that. Yeah, but it always added about a quarter or half a second of lag, and then it would have to resync the audio to it. This game smoothing feature is like it adds very, like, it's not, like I said, to me, it's not even a perceivable amount of lag. And I'm like, and it makes everything look like smooth as silk. Like you're like, you have a GPU that's twice as fast as it really is. And I'm like, man,
that's cool. Like the DLSS stuff.
Exactly. Very much so. Yeah. So I'm like, damn, this is pretty badass. So now I got to go back, and I'm going to get the same screen again. And I hope I get one that isn't broke this time. And yeah, I am going to make sure I have a 5-year extended warranty, because my faith in Samsung is wavering a little when it comes to quality of these panels. But I hope that they just swap me though, because the price is going to go up on the screen. It was a Super Bowl sale. So I have to get this all rectified in the next 3 days before the price goes up. So, yeah. But yeah, it's a pretty awesome screen.
They should just swap you straight across. You shouldn't have to repurchase it. And if they do, they should honor that price, the price you originally paid.
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, honestly, Costco has pretty good customer service. I mean, they really dropped the ball with my LG C1 returns because of the bug in the system. Yeah, that's weird. It took 14 hours. Was it 14 phone calls in 10 hours? Jesus. Over 68 days to get my refund. But if I take it in person, yeah, they've never given me a problem on anything I've ever returned. Doesn't even matter what the timing is. I know if it's over 90 days, though, they won't refund it. But that's fine.
Well, you just answered this question. I think this dude keeps coming back. Like I timed out Kenneth Blagg for this, and now like this guy Portal 2 is asking about your portal gun. Do you still have your portal gun?
I do.
There. Now stop asking. Crying out loud. And I even said, I even popped in the chat and I said, of course he does, man. Jerry doesn't ever get rid of anything.
No, I don't. Like, I really don't. It's rare for me to get rid of something. The only time I get rid of it is like if I give it to friends. That's about it. So no, I have the portal gun,
you can't
and I have the gravity gun.
No, you can't see it. It's in a special case. No,
it's in the closet buried under some stuff, and the gravity gun is in the garage, and it's got some broken bits on it. I got to glue back on. But yeah, no, I still have both of them. They both work. Although, you know what I'd be smart to do is to take out the batteries. Because I just thought about that. It's like I bought these years ago, and they got I think they got a double A's in them or something. I got to pull those out because I don't want those leaking and destroying them.
I wanted to play with my lightsaber a couple weeks ago, and it's not turning on. I'm like, well, that makes sense, batteries, whatever. And yeah, had I not caught it sooner, like they were getting the crispy white fluffiness, from the leakage. And I'm like, oh crap, you don't want the contacts and stuff to rust out or be too damaged for good batteries to work.
Yeah, and it'll destroy that stuff like so fast.
Yeah, very important.
So let's see here. You put a couple topics on that. Tell me about the space. What is this SpaceX rocket crashing in the moon?
I guess
or something. What is
it? I'd heard about I'd heard something about SpaceX is going to crash a rocket, I think on purpose, for science reasons, I guess. But I guess that's not the case. Okay, so let's see here. Decided.
I mean, looking at the picture, it's clearly not a Falcon 9. I mean,
yeah,
I can tell just looking at it, it's not a Falcon.
I guess back in earlier this month, a gentleman by the name of Bill Gray, an amateur astronomer, there's some kind of rogue object out there that was likely a spent SpaceX rocket launched in 2015, said it's on course to smash into the moon, blah, blah, blah. I guess a while later, looking through old data, Gray says the object's probably not a SpaceX rocket after all. Rather, it's a rocket stage that launched China's Chang'e 5T1 mission to the moon in 2014. They originally discovered this whatever back in March 14th, 2015. It was by the Catalina Sky Survey and was originally identified as a near-Earth asteroid. Which that's interesting because like a rocket stage would be pretty small, I think, in comparison to some, asteroids. Blah, 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 blah. Second stage rocket, blah, blah, blah. This and that.
So just to be clear, this isn't on purpose. This is like Chinese garbage that they abandoned in space for one of their missions, and it made its way to the moon. Yeah,
which is really common. So like this isn't like China's doing this on. I think it's weird. I think it's uncommon that it's going to crash into the moon, but it's not uncommon for rocket stages to be floating around out there.
Sure. That part I knew, but it's just weird that like they would launch a rocket and not run a simulation to figure out their booster is going to end up impacting the moon at like 2.5 kilometers a second.
Yeah,
like that seems like a little bit of an oversight, especially when like
they probably knew. They're just not going to tell anybody. The Chinese not going to tell somebody.
That's actually true. Like they really wouldn't give a shit, right? I mean, they're not abiding by any other treaties or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
so it says it's gonna smash into a crater on the far side of the moon known as Hertzsprung. No way to watch the smash, unfortunately, because it's on the backside.
On the dark side, yeah. 5,500 miles an hour. That's crazy, man. That's gonna make one hell of a crater.
Oh yeah, it'd be super cool to actually be able to see it.
Yeah,
but,
it joined us.
We might be able to see the crater after the word. Hey, what? Who's that guy?
Who's that guy? A baby Hewlett in the house.
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you, man. Fix your microphone. Fix your microphone, nerd. Come on. Seriously, brah. Seriously.
We've only done this like 90 times.
He's going to end up taking out the solar system, trying to set this up. Just wait for it. Just wait for it. Yeah. Make sure everybody put your lemons away. Put your lemons away.
I can hear you.
There you go. There you are.
We got you. You're coming in loud and clear.
It only screws up whenever I move things. That's the key.
That's it, right, man? You don't. That's why Jerry always has problems with his computers, man. He touches stuff. He keeps fiddling with things.
I can't help it, man.
You just leave it alone. It works. Don't touch it, and it works. It keeps working.
That's my thing. But
that's why I don't have problems. I don't touch.
I don't earn enough for these things. I need like 2 sets of headphones, 2 sets of microphones. I need the whole, because as soon as I go upstairs to do something, it's like I got to pull it all apart.
It will not matter.
This is the same guy.
Just ban him. It's fine. Just time him out or whatever. Remove him.
What? I just got here. Don't ban me. What?
No, not you. We just got a guy who keeps coming back under alt accounts asking about my portal gun, and he wants to buy my portal gun and stuff. And we told him to knock him off like 5 times. And he keeps doing it.
Dude, you can just buy one. Like this is not a rare thing.
No, but
unless it's yours like fancy 3D printers.
They only made 200 of them before they got like sued by Valve. So
okay, so it's not the retail one that you could get. It's
No, it was retail when it came out, but they canceled it. It was on ThinkGeek back in the day, and then they got canceled.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. Okay. So let me see if I can find it here on eBay. I'm just curious what they're going for. I mean, they don't go for like crazy money.
Oh, let's see that mug again, Ox. Let's see that. Let's see that mug.
Oh, never mind. They do go for crazy money. Oh man, all right. Well,
awesome.
I think this is a Rogue One. This is a Rogue One.
That's a really nice one.
Sweet.
Oh no, that's not bad.
A good
February 18th, one sold for $279 out of box with the stand. That's not that's like $50 more than I paid for it. So they're not that rare, dude. Just go to eBay and buy one.
Yeah, get out of here.
Dude, there's like one on eBay. One sold for $200. That's like less than what I paid for it. Like, yeah, no, this isn't rare.
It's more fun to annoy us, though, isn't it? I mean,
I guess so. Hey, Tech Banded mug, nice.
Yeah,
actually, that's weirdly, that's not. God,
is it not?
I can't lift my arm up that high. That was a random mug that my wife found and bought me for Christmas.
I love it. That's cool.
Isn't that great? It's so perfect. It turns out they're not smart. They have this reputation for being really smart raccoons. You know what they are? They're just incredibly persistent. They just hit things over and over and over again until they break, basically.
I thought they were clever enough to like solve simple locks and stuff and remember. Like they could go back even.
Apparently, according to the raccoonologist or whatever the hell they call themselves, she said that they'll just keep at it until something breaks. And most of the time it's either chewing or pushing it over, or I
know they are dumb enough that they don't let go of stuff. Like the raccoon traps. Yeah, raccoon trap is so there's like it's like a hole.
It's like the monkey puzzle.
Yeah, right. So they'll reach in to grab a donut, and then the hole like has these flanges or whatever that kind of
so they can't pull it back out again.
You can stick it in, but like you can't get it back out. But they're too stupid to let go.
You put a donut in there, you'd have me too. You'd have me as well if you put a donut in there. I mean, like me and the raccoons, absolutely.
Right. And so then it can just come
on.
Honey,
I can't get the donut out of this. Yeah,
my hand's stuck in the pickle jar.
Oh God!
Let go.
I have to break the jar to get to the donut. What if I get glass on the donuts? There's so many. That's it. This is how my wife keeps me out of the treat drawer.
She's got the little plastic lock on it, like you do for toddlers. You can't.
Oh my God! I think the most freeing moment of my entire existence was finally being able to remove all the childproof things from everything.
Oh, because
I got me every time. I was like, I need to pee and I can't open the goddamn.
the knob thing just keeps spinning.
Oh God! Okay, I'm just peeing on the wall. Yeah.
See, I'm the kind of like if I didn't know, I'd just and tear the drawer handle off or something. Like it just.
They're amazingly resilient, though. Like I was amazed at how they there was definitely some stick-on ones that were just easier to pull off whenever they were a problem.
Man, that's funny.
I thought I'd use my phone for the chat today instead of all my very noisy clicking.
Oh,
keyboard.
Nice.
Yep,
nice. I think
that way I can keep track of it.
I think we're buffering. I think we. Oh, we did. We were for a second. Maybe it was just on my side.
Buffer.
That's it. I don't see anything coming from the chat.
I'm just here for.
Oh my gosh! It's the gravity gun.
That does not look.
It could just be me. Are we still good?
Still good. Look. It seems to. Let me see if it's. Hang on. Here we go.
Oh, sorry.
I'm really behind. Oh, I see. No, never mind. Here a second.
I have not been kind to my things, guys.
Oh, it's way behind.
Look at that. Well, I think we were buffering on the YouTube, but it could just be my size.
Yeah, I show
we're like way behind on. When I look at it live, we're like we're in the future.
Like 3 minutes. Okay.
It's got a broken wire. It's that needs to be glued.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's taken a beating over the years.
Come
That's
on.
the kind of prop though
Yeah,
nice.
It works.
Cool.
That thing's just asking for bits to fall off, though, isn't it?
Oh, I know, right? All that floppy stuff around there.
Fiddly bits. Yeah.
I got it. They need some TLC. They're not for sale though until I am completely poor.
Yeah,
but you should. We got to definitely log in with multiple names.
I got the gravity gun. Yeah.
Oh wow,
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that the batteries are still good in them.
Dude, I'm afraid to open it and look at it because, I mean, they still work, but there's going to be some serious stuff going on in there. Wait, is the handle supposed to turn and come off?
I don't think it's supposed to come off, man. That's
I hope so.
That's like a construction. Like, that's how you put it together. But
dude, you know it's quality when it actually comes with a real piece of duct tape because that's what's on the model in the game.
Get out.
No.
They literally put a real, look at that. It's coming off like the glue's failing. It's a real piece of duct tape that they actually put on the model to ship it.
Oh, that's good.
That's hilarious.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Somebody just walked by my door. I'll be right back. I'm very excited. I think maybe somebody might have dropped my package off at my door, so I'm gonna go check.
Yeah, go get it before somebody steals it again.
What's he waiting for?
GPU, I think.
Oh, really?
He had a GPU stolen off his porch the other day. He thinks the UPS dude stole it.
Does he have he doesn't have a Ring doorbell or something?
I think he does, but he's like whoever stole it evaded it. So
really,
or I think his neighbor.
But weirdly, he's selling an extra 3080.
Yeah, I still can't believe the GPUs are this hard to come by still.
Why? So what did you get it?
No, some guy just putting a door hanger ad on the door.
You got to put up a scary no soliciting sign.
Yeah. Get off my porch.
Yeah. And then Daisy freaks out because I opened the door. She's like,
I've become such an old man. Some poor kid came to the door and said, "Have you heard of UNICEF?" I was like, "Yep," and shut the door on him. I was like, I'm like, dude, I don't like who in this day and age goes door to door. Like, I just like,
it's usually a scam too. Like,
no, and that's it. Yeah. I'm just so sick of trying to figure out whether they're real or not. And I'm not going to give some weird guy at the door money. I mean, give me a website or whatever. That's fine. I'll donate electronically, but I'm not going to give cash to some guy who goes by the, the kids are even worse.
Hey, now I'll buy cookies.
I just hit them with pepper spray
all the time. I'm down for cookies. Yeah. Well, what gives me?
Yeah, it's true.
Boy Scouts got to figure something out. Boy Scouts got to figure out something better than popcorn. I'm not buying popcorn. I don't want popcorn. I buy my own popcorn.
I didn't even know
that's like the Boy Scouts thing. Yeah, man, you'll get those tins of like caramel corn and stuff, or
we were
whatever.
Such losers. We had to sell freaking apples.
Yeah, it's
try selling like, an apple.
Why aren't you coming at me with beef jerky from Boy Scouts? Like that makes more sense to me. I'd buy beef jerky from the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, that's actually cool. Genius. Yeah, that's like for when you're out on the trail.
It's thematically appropriate. Like it makes sense. Like not to be like super sexist or whatever, but like cookies and the girls, that makes sense. There's a mental connection there.
Cookies and the boys works too. I'd be happy to like. I
feel like that would start a gang war, but it could work.
That would actually be the greatest gang war in history, though. Like you see the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts just like walking
when
up
you're a scout,
mad dogging each other. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, gangs of New York style, like
West Side Story.
Yeah, yeah.
You're killing me. Boy Scouts are still.
Did you look at that cookie? I got to cut you.
Little girl knocks on your door and she's like, "I had cookies." And by the time you get the door and open it, there's a Boy Scout standing there. You want to buy some jerky? And you're like, "Whoa, what happened to the little girl?" "Oh no, don't worry about her." She
more likely the guy gets taken out.
That's actually
true.
Girls
are smarter anyways.
That's actually true.
I don't even know why they have separate ones anyways. Why don't they just call themselves the guides or whatever? Just do them all together.
Yeah, I've actually heard that women make better snipers anyways. So
no doubt.
I have a horrible feeling women make better everything's. that's I'm beginning to realize there's just no
David. If we can't quiet.
Don't they already know? Come on.
I think they do.
No, I watched a whole documentary on like how female fighter pilots or whatever can handle more sustained G's just naturally. And so they just took a random lady like off the street and took her up in the Blue Angels flight, like, in a back seat, and they pulled like 9 G's. She still had to do the breathing exercises that they showed her briefly, but like every one of the men that they took up passed out at like 7.5 G's. Even with the breathing exercises, like only one of the guys barely made it, and she's just up there like at 9 G's going, "You okay back there?" "Yeah,
really
fun."
Like, I'd pass out. I'd faint just trying to get into the thing.
Even on the
just trying to get into the plane, I'd faint.
The spinning. There's like a side. There's a video of it's like a side by side of a woman pilot and a guy Air Force going through the spinning thing, and he like kind of
they do the like head forward.
And she just like ages 50 years in 3 seconds kind of thing. But she's
right. As her face is peeled back.
It's so trippy though. Cause like, and then they slow it down and like her face comes back. It's so weird. But
I remember I remember that scene in the Roger Moore Bond movie where he gets put in the centrifuge machine. Yeah. And I remember thinking like, ooh, that is just, I mean, as a way to go, you die very, very, very unattractively.
Yeah,
because you just like his. I remember Roger Moore's face just like behind him. That was, and I remember, as a kid, just being shocked by that. Of course, now I get to do the same thing myself.
The thing I don't understand is how do they not like hurt their necks really bad when they pass out? Like you'd think.
It's got to be sore. You got to be.
They pass out. They go like their head is like jacked over front like this. Like it's got to be torquing on them when their muscles give out like that.
It's gotta. Yeah, you come out.
Or is it totally relaxed? But your muscles completely relaxed though, right? So what would you pull?
You're still getting pulled. Like it's still being like pulled really bad.
Do we have any Air Force pilots in the chat here that have been in one of them centrifuges that can like?
They're all unconscious.
Because every video I see, they usually push them to the point where they pass out. Like they'll just keep up in the G's until they pass out, just so they can figure out where their G lock point is or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
they have neck braces apparently.
Yeah, the women are up like 14 G's and like the bearings are failing in the machine and everything, and they're like, "I'm hungry. Is this over yet?"
Right. That's cool.
Try to eat snacks while you're in the G machine, like just
yeah. Well, it doesn't matter.
like just
all
these
it doesn't matter
around your head
because we're not going to have like piloted crafts in like the next 20 years. Like,
I don't know why we bother.
Concept.
Like like not to obsolete human and all, but like it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like when I see news choppers going over like old school news, I get angry now because I'm like, I don't want that thing falling out of the sky. I want a freaking drone up there. That if it falls, it's gonna like, it hurt my, it landed on my puppy or something. Like it's not gonna like take out a city block.
Yeah, I don't know why news parts aren't using those bigger drones. Like probably flight time. It's just the batteries and stuff don't give you got like 30 minutes to an hour or something.
Yeah, but so get a gas powered like freaking drone.
That's not actually a bad idea.
No, it's like why not? Like it's not
remote controlled.
It's literally probably safer.
Well, they made a drone version of the F-35. Did you see that? Where they basically just took the cockpit off and replaced it with an avionics package.
No, that's cool.
And so because the cockpit's taken off of it, actually increases its aerodynamics, so it gets better range and higher speed. And not only that, the thing can pull like sustained like 14 or 15 G's or something because that's the breaking point of the wings.
We're not expected to deal with this stuff. Like we can't. Our bodies aren't made for that.
Yeah, how could you compete with that though? Like if you were a human and you were flying, we lost Jocks.
If you still hear me though, right?
I hear you, but you're very. It's got very dark.
So yeah, still nothing.
That's weird.
Check your camera, bro.
See, but it all falls apart. The wheels come off. What happens? I show up. I'm like that. Yeah, I'm like a bad. I'm a bad like sci-fi character that affects all communications. All digital communications are interrupted as soon as I show up.
Wow.
Apparently they were using drones at this thing. I was glued to the TV today because I was just watching like Ottawa police trying to like clear out Ottawa right now.
Yeah, and
oh my god, it's like oh my god. But they have drones. They have like big police drones that fly up and just get them a sense of where they are and who everyone is and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of
drone tech is really good now. Like the new what is it, DJI Mavic 2 or the Pro? It can fly for like 27 minutes.
But here's the thing: I don't think I'd bother with a helicopter. I don't think I'd bother with a helicopter. I think I would, if anything, I would want like a plane. Yeah, you can fly that sucker around and circle and get all sorts of great footage. And it's not like like just like all cylinders going all the whole time.
Well, that's the thing is like the drone disappears. Like when it goes up, like even my drone that I have, my little Mavic that I have, you fly it up over like 250 feet, you can't see it anymore. It just disappears into the sky as a dot. So because they're so small, and they're quiet, you can't hear them over 200 feet. Like you don't even hear the hum from it anymore. So you could totally just put that thing in a hover pattern for like a half an hour to go, over an area with a camera, and you'd have surveillance. That's like I remember the first generation drones only flew for like 7 to 10 minutes.
Oh, I know, they were like amazing.
Yeah.
It was. So I remember like I went to like one of the first drone sort of events here where they were like, they're teaching people about the tech and how to use it and stuff. And I was talking to one of the guys who was teaching, and he said, I give this like maybe 2 years before they won't even. It's just going to be an iPhone app. And sure enough, within like 2 years, it's like you sync it up with your phone and just tell it where to go, and it flapped around and does it for you.
Yeah.
I just feel like from a fuel standpoint, it just makes more sense. Like if you're trying to survey a not tiny area, you get a really good camera and you put it on like a winged vehicle, and that sucker will just like that could glide around for days. I mean, like put a couple of solar panels on the back of it. I mean, that sucker, that's your surveillance device right there.
Hey, there we go.
You're back. Yeah, there's a guy out in Woodinville. There's a drone place out there called Free Fly, I think it is. Free Fly Drones.
Freedom.
And he has a YouTube channel where he makes all kinds of autonomous craft like boats and drones and off-road vehicles and stuff. But he made one that had solar panels on the wings that actually it generated enough power that it basically on a sunny day would keep the battery topped off. And it'd fly for.
Did he make a whole bunch of different experiment craft, and then he came up with this like almost square one?
It
was almost like a square board of Bristol board.
It was. It literally looked like a giant pizza box with like a tail on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, see, that's perfect. You get that sucker up there and circling, and I know where the kid is all the time. It's perfect.
Yeah, there's one guy who made I think it's the same guy actually. He went over to Eastern Washington. He did a flight of 100 miles. He flew autonomously. He launched it, and it has a 4G 3G cell antenna on it, and so it can report back the video feed to him live as long as it's within cellular range. If it goes outside of cellular range, then it just flies its flight plan until it gets cellular again and then connects back. So, and he watches this thing fly like all day long. It covers like 100 miles out over water, over land, everything, and comes back to him and lands. And I was like,
see,
that's crazy.
That's what I mean. Though. Like, I'm just surprised that the people are still buying these like little helicopter things when I guess there's a novelty factor.
I think it's the hover though. Like being able to hover over something is like really, really nice to have.
Yeah.
And so
I like the idea of, if you're up there high enough, you can just kind of do circles.
Yeah. Well, there's a company that makes a VTOL drone where the wings tip side. I mean, it's huge. It's
cool, like Osprey style.
Yeah, and it takes off, and then the wings kick forward like an Osprey, and it's got a range of I think 60 miles on a charge, but it's big. I mean, it's literally like a 10-foot wingspan. So this isn't one that you can fly without like licenses and stuff. But I want to say it was like.
Is there a limit on size to what you can fly?
There is. There is. There's a way for different classes and different licenses, different weight limits and stuff like. It's basically just like aviation, where it's like if you have an experimental aircraft, as long as it's under a certain amount of weight, like you can literally fly a pizza box with wings if you want. But over a certain weight, then you have to have a license to fly it. And then if it has 2 engines, then you have to have an upgraded license to fly it. And depending on how much weight and how many people it carries, the license, it's like there's all these different levels that you have to get to fly all this stuff. And it's the same thing with drones. It's like as long as it's under, what is it, like 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds or something like that. I think that it's you just have to follow the basic rules that are posted. Like don't fly over people, always maintain line of sight with your aircraft, blah blah blah. Don't.
So in other words, don't use it in any way that you want to.
Exactly. Don't fly it into don't fly it into the engines of 747s coming off the runway at your local airport. It's like just general common sense rules. But then over a certain weight, then you have to actually have a license to fly. Like the ones that carry the big cinema camera rigs and stuff. Those guys are heavily licensed and insured to fly those things. Those things could literally kill you.
We used a bunch of them on sea and a bunch of them on this Guillermo del Toro Cabinet of Curiosities thing as well.
Yeah, they replaced like everything now, like the cable cameras that they used.
They don't do helicopters.
Yeah. What?
Oh, the cable cam. See, again, that stuff. I feel like we should go back to that stuff because it's like I know it's not as sexy as drones and stuff, but honestly, like a good cable cam, crap, you can do some really cool stuff with that.
Dude, have you seen the video, the commercial that they did for the bowling alley? With the drone?
Yeah.
Dude,
if you don't think drones are precision after watching that, no, they are precision.
No, they're definitely precision.
Dude, but you watched the drone race thing?
Yeah. Oh man, those first-person viewing things.
That's insane.
If I wasn't so vomity on the old motion sickness thing, I would kill to do that. Like talk about immersive. Yeah, you put a pair of freaking goggles on and you are the drone. Man, that's like you're living the Star Wars dream.
Like even I'm good in VR for hours and hours and hours. I tried to do FPV drones and about hurled. Like
dude, I'm watching the coverage of the riot stuff, and I'm getting sick because it's all handheld. I'm like so lame. I'm like, what happened to me? I got old. I
love the drone stuff. I'm really into the drone stuff. I'd like to at some point get one of the newer, smaller drones that can fly for like 30 plus. Now I think they're over 30 minutes. Like I think the little DJI Mavic Mini or whatever in a hover can like go for 30 minutes is a long time for anything RC. Like they don't have gas powered RC stuff that goes for 30 minutes. It's like that you're getting to the point now where it's like you put a battery in, you could just put that thing up at a hover in an event, go around, shoot all your photographs. Well, that thing's like recording a race from up above, record like, like a GRC race or something like that, global rallycross, bring that thing down, land it, pop another battery in it, go again, and just put that thing in a sustained hover with the camera pointing wherever you want it. They can even track now. I did a review, and this is like old tech. Like the new tech is way better, but the Mavic 2 that I reviewed, it could just track you. You could just lock it onto you with like image recognition, and it would chase you around, avoid obstacles. Like it flew through a building, following me on a rad power bike, and then actually got down, like lowered down in the building, went through the doorway, and lifted back up to stay in pursuit of me.
So it's smart enough to know that there are obstacles it needs to avoid.
Yeah, it's got like a whole full array radar, sonar. It uses a sonic like rangefinder. It's got all.
I don't need one.
Yeah.
What is it called? Oh, you know what else they've got? The DJI that have done now is a new cinema camera. They've got that. Have you seen that yet?
Oh, I have. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. So it's like shoots in like, I don't know, like 1,000K or whatever the hell it is. But more importantly, it has like, instead of like for focus pulling, it's literally using LiDAR to do focusing. Yeah. And you've got a little screen that you can go, okay, let me just focus on this part or that part. Like it basically automates everything. It can stabilize, it can not stabilize, it can track, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the Ronin 4D.
The Ronin, that's it. And it's like that basically replaces an entire film crew. It's like the entire camera department of a film crew.
Yeah, because remember they made the Ronin 1 and the Ronin 2 were the stabilizers for the big camera rigs. And now they're just like, screw it, cut out the middleman. Let's just make a camera with the stabilizer fully built into it.
Nice.
Well, and the beauty is you don't have to those stabilized cameras, every single time you change the lens, you have to freaking rebalance it.
That's true. Yeah,
and this one, it's like, whatever, just pop on the new lens, not a problem.
So what is the cost?
But they're expensive, though, aren't they? Yeah, they're like $9,000. Well, that's Canadian.
Oh, $7 grand,
like $5.
$7 grand USD. That's actually that's cheaper than the cheapest Red camera, like a Red Raven with a battery, because you have to buy everything. You like don't ever. The thing about Red is they get you because like you buy the camera and it shows up and it's just a metal box with no lens, no battery, no.
Yeah,
handle,
I love the idea.
Body.
Yeah, I loved the idea of Red, and then I've shot a couple of films in them now, and they just sucked. They sucked. I'm so sorry, but I love the image when you get it.
Exactly.
But they kept they would overheat. They'd shut themselves down. Oh man, it was awful.
So my experience with a Red camera is the only one that I've used, honestly. It was a Red Raven. And that was like their lightest weight 5K. They always do weird stuff like 5K or 9K. They never do like the industry standard, like for their sensors. But it was a 5K Red Raven, and it was designed to fly under a drone. So it had like, the gimbal attachment so you could put on the drone, but you could handhold it too. It had like a handle that snapped onto it, and then you put the battery pack, and then you put the screen on it. But by the time you put the whole thing together, it's like you turn it on and the menu system is the slowest thing you've ever seen in your life. It's like an Android phone from like 20 years ago.
Welcome to DOS. Yeah,
it is so slow. So I don't get how Red can sell a camera that is so much money, and you can literally watch like the menus drawing on the screen, and you push down, and it takes like a full second to like go down on the Raven.
Some of the new ones are being used for documentaries and stuff, which I was surprised at, because I was like, of all of them, I would not use it for documentary, because I guess it's a price thing or something, but it's like, to me, the whole problem is the overheating. And if you're doing documentary stuff, you want to be on all the time.
Yeah, you can't have your camera just turn it off in the middle of an interview. You're only going to get ones.
Like, this is it. I mean, I find the problem with a lot of the non-consumer, the non-pro stuff is that it's not meant to do this stuff, right? It's like, you could shoot a feature on it, whether you should or not. Again, I don't want to diss all of Red. I don't know enough about all of their cameras, but I know that when the Red one was a freaking disaster. Remember using that. And then we used something, but it was just a joke. It was like, after like 4 minutes, it would like shut down.
Oh yeah, the runtime is stupid low on them.
I was like, dude, we could shoot this on film. They got longer canisters. I mean, like.
No, and the memory modules are stupid expensive. I remember that, like the memory cards that they use.
Yeah, that's right.
And inside, isn't it just like an SSD or something glued inside the case?
It's like ridiculous. It is. Yeah,
I mean, the red like memory cartridge things. Yeah, there's just like a Samsung SSD in there.
Hey, which was the DJI that you said you liked? The latest one that you liked?
Well, now they're up to like, I think the Mavic 3. I had a Mavic 2. And I even reviewed,
but not the minis. Pro. You don't like the minis?
No, the minis are good now. The minis are basically the same spec as the previous generation, larger Mavic, but longer runtime. They have the same camera tech. So, and I think they use like a Hasselblad glass or something now. It's like DJI is kind of like up their game a little bit in the camera. The thing I don't like about DJI is the same thing I don't like about Red, though, is they are the most proprietary ass Apple-esque experience you'll ever have. It's like their apps, their hardware only, their batteries only. Everything's got chips and intelligence.
They're all trying to build their little. They're all trying to build their little empires. I mean, that's
thanks Sony.
Yeah, plus DJI makes shitty batteries too. That's
Sony trying to always pushing their memory sticks and their fucking batteries. I remember buying a PSP and being pissed off I couldn't just buy a SD.
Oh my god, remember that?
Thing.
Yes.
I gotta buy this proprietary Sony memory stick, and it only works with Sony products.
I hated that.
The cameras were the same thing. I had so many problems with the camera. I've got an NEX, which I love, or NEX, or whatever the hell it's called, an old NEX one that I love. But again, it's like everything's proprietary.
And they don't make them anymore. They don't make memory stick pros anymore.
They don't.
It's fucking dumb.
And Nintendo's not selling their.
This Ronin 4D looks awesome.
Which one?
I'm gonna put a picture of this Ronin 4D. I'm like looking at it right now. I haven't seen it before.
It's gorgeous.
It looks like it has like a gooseneck on it. So the gimbal is like
you're holding a fucking goose.
It's like a counterweighted lever that goes down that moves it up and down. So it looks like it has a lot more range than a Ronin did.
That's
like a lot
and
more.
It does this whole sort of like, it looks like, those like those Boston Dynamics things. Like it moves.
Does,
yeah.
It can do its
Got
whole
that arm on it.
So you can either get it to stabilize or you get it to physically stabilize. I mean, there's all sorts of neat stuff it's doing. I mean,
for stabilization.
I wish I had a
LiDAR
focus. This is the problem with this kind of technology, though, is, and I remember like I had a bunch of like filmmaking friends who, when the Red came out, they're like, I'm buying a Red and I'm going to make movies and stuff. And I was like, well,
no, you're not.
Isn't it better just to rent a camera for the 3 weeks that you're shooting or something? Yeah. Like, and of course, people don't want to do that. But as soon as you get a Red camera, then you got to equip it. You gotta look after it. You got to maintain it. Good luck renting it. And then they wanted to upgrade it at some point. They couldn't afford to upgrade it. And so it's basically a paperweight. It's like it's an antiquity now. You know what I mean?
I know that they hold their value pretty good.
The Reds do?
The Reds do compared to other cinema cameras.
Really?
Like, for instance, a Red Raven, a pre-owned Red Raven with no battery, nothing, just the brain box, are going for about $3,000 to $4,000 on eBay right now, used. And brand new, I think, like 5 or 6 years ago, they were, I want to say, like 7,000. So they only lost about half of their value in like 5 or 6 years. For a digital camera, that's pretty damn good.
Most people are using the Aris now, it seems. Most of the pros seem to prefer the Ari.
They do.
Which I don't know how much of it's just snobbery, too. Like, I like, there's so much snobbery in the film industry. They're like, oh, no, we can't shoot that with an iPhone. It's like, well, why the hell not?
Yeah, you can.
Like, no one wanted to use GoPros.
It records in ProRes now. Why would you not?
I know. It just makes sense.
You just punch that straight into your editor. You don't have to do proxies or nothing. It just works. Like, why would you not?
Oh, but darling, it's not a real camera,
Dude, red nickels and
it's
dimes
really here.
So
what are you talking about?
Though.
I hate that kind of stuff, man.
Dude, I'm looking on eBay right now for a fan. So why would you even sell a fan for your camera unless you knew the damn thing overheated? Like it should have sufficient cooling from the factory, right? But the Red Raven has a top mount included fan module for $300 used,
which kills you if you're shooting. If you're shooting, forget it, because you're screwed.
Yeah,
you literally have to stop shooting as soon as that fan comes on. So maybe they'll get noise cancellation out of the way, so we can just.
You spend another $400 and you get the noise canceller chip to put on to the fan.
Actually, the worst nickel and
create
dime
the problem, sell the solution.
Oh, the cables!
Red
oh my god,
the biggest scam on cables in the entire world, because they
Monster. Remember Monster cables?
Yeah, they do. But Red does like these proprietary connectors that are like these long ribbons with screws and they're metal. And for like a 6-inch cable for the screen, it might even be 6 inches, it might be 3 inches. Yeah, it's like hundreds of dollars for a cable, for one cable. And all it is an HDMI cable that they chop the end off of and put their proprietary connector on it. That's like it.
Now, that said, these are sexy beasts. Like, I got to say, the cameras look so cool.
Oh, and they're built like a brick shit house, too. You could literally club a baby seal to death with this thing. It's like so
but would the camera make it, though? Like, are they, like, they're solid, but are the cameras like...
I've never heard of, like, too many people having problems with them breaking. I know they're rugged.
Maybe someone in the chat has bludgeoned a seal with their Red camera and has some comments.
I mean, I've seen one survive a drone crash. I watched one where they had like a $10,000 Raven with like a prime lens on it, and it crashed into the ground, and the prime lens was gone, and the battery was bulged because it broke the battery casing and bulged the lithium ion. But they put another battery on it, and it still worked. So
that's what I tell everyone. I say, don't buy the tech, buy the lenses. The lenses never go out of style. You get good glass.
That makes sense.
You can rent them forever. I mean, but the the cameras themselves, they're obsolete as soon as you buy them. Like, it's like buying a car. It's like they're you drive it off the lot, it's basically obsolete again.
Yeah.
Remind me of this when I go to buy something again. By the way,
the glass does maintain its value, though. Like, I had Canon.
The glass does. Oh my god.
Lenses are always expensive, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I had a 200. I think it was a 200 millimeter. So Canon. Hold on here. Canon L.
And
series.
you can get adapters for almost everything now. So they've got little adapters that'll make it work on just about any camera.
So I'm trying to see how much mine goes for. So so the EF7. No, I had a better one than that. Hold on here. So yeah, a Canon 70 to 200 f2.8 L series lens. This is series 2. I had the series 1 lens. Still $1,200. Like that's about what I paid for it when I bought mine 10 or 12 years ago. More than that, 14 years ago. Like, so their lenses retain their value really well.
I mean, the other thing about the glass is that's the difference with a lot of this tech stuff as well. It's like, you can have the coolest little drone in the world, but there's only so much you can put in those tiny lenses can only do so much.
True.
Right? Yeah. Eventually we're all going to have like James Webb telescope cameras that are just like multiple different lenses all focusing down onto, so you can have like, 2,000.
I mean, I got 3. There's 3 lenses back there
already.
For various purposes.
That and LiDAR in the freaking palm of my hands. How cool is that?
Yeah, dude, there's like seriously like 4K 60 films on YouTube and stuff that are shot completely in phone. And if you didn't know that, you wouldn't believe it.
That's the world I want to be in. I think.
By the way,
you
really don't, because like your phones, unless like iPhone and I maybe Samsung has some setting that you can do this differently, but oftentimes your phone will record in H.264 or H.265, and that is not a very good editing codec.
Yeah, it's not. It's very slow.
The big part is variable frame rate, and there are a lot of different like ways of implementing that compression algorithm, and so it's a pain in the ass to edit with.
Yeah, it's not
very good.
Well, and also Apple has that variable frame rate thing as well.
Yeah,
that they use. I don't know if they still do, but they used to use it. Where you used to import it, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, all my sync is drifting on everything." And it's because their frame rate is changing depending on what they, so they can process it better.
Now, with the newer iPhones, I know you can record straight to ProRes, and that's better, at least.
Yeah, and the 13, I think.
Damn it, is that the 13?
Yeah,
damn it.
It could have been a software update. Honestly, there's nothing to keep them from.
I know. Like, I want to do that on my 12. So I want to do ProRes on my 12. Why not?
So you can capture RAW, I think, on the iPhone 10 and the iPhone X and the 11 if you use the $10 Filmic Pro app. The Filmic Pro app accesses the camera chip like directly. I don't know how they do it, but they can do stuff that the in-camera app cannot do at all. Like hardware level control. Like you can change which microphone array it's using out of the 3 microphones. You can change all the manually control the f-stop and all that stuff of the lens, just like it was like a physical camera. And it's not it's not like software filters. It's like it's actually telling the hardware to do these things, and it's doing it. And I think one of the settings on it was you could store as RAW, because I remember doing that once, and I shot a video and I like filled up my phone in like 10 minutes. Like the storage on my phone was cooked, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" That's like, I mean, the phone was like on fire, but it did it.
So there you go. The 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max can do RAW.
Cool. Yeah, RAW, but that's probably still like, what codec is that? Right? Is it HEVC or? Like what?
No idea.
Because
is it Apple RAW?
What I'm seeing here, Apple ProRes on the 13 Pro with iOS 15.1 or later. For ProRes.
So RAW is not a type of footage. Is that not right? RAW is not a type of an actual codec itself.
No, they refer to them as RAW codecs. Like it's still a codec, but it's basically like a codec that's lossless compression.
Because that was Red Giants, the Red Cameras thing, right?
There's like a red raw.
Well,
the thing about shooting RAW is that you, just like with photos, if you ever shot like a RAW photo on like a Canon camera or an Nikon,
quite a few, my friend,
you can change all the exposure settings and everything after you took the picture.
Yeah, because it's a straight recording of the input to the sensor.
Correct. And cinematographers fucking hate it. Hate it. Because it takes away all their power, right? I mean,
you got to edit everything.
You go just record everything and then fix it all in editing. That's like the whole point of the cinematographer, is to be there to figure out how to get the light right and the dream and ladies.
So ladies' camera here can shoot. I forget what the codec's called, but it basically shoots RAW. It shoots hybrid, log, gamma, RAW footage, and when you shoot it and you drag it in to edit it, it looks washed out. Like it has no contrast to it. It just looks like the super washed out image. But then you apply a LUT, and then it looks absolutely like fantastic. But I was like, why do I want to add another step to my workflow to make a YouTube video?
For a YouTube video, but
the less you do it,
But the flexibility when you're making a film is amazing.
True, because it's like you don't. It's really expensive to go back and reshoot something. So if you have RAW and you can the f-stop was wrong by like 2 stops or whatever, then you just go and change it.
Well, I'm so old. The stuff I used to do was all on film. So you'd literally have some kid in a dark room, like changing film mags and stuff. Yeah. It's like you open the door, like, oh, sorry. Oh, there's yesterday done. It's, oh man, the amount of stuff. And we used to have to go to rushes. So rushes were all about going to see what you filmed yesterday to make sure that they were all good.
Yeah. Do you remember those light field cameras that came out that failed horribly?
Oh, the LiDAR, what are they called?
No,
Lumix or something?
Yeah, something like that. It was some weird company made it. It's called a light field camera, but basically you can take an image and you can change the focal point.
Focus later.
Yeah, you just take a picture of anything and you can focus on whatever you want. It's not a software effect. It's actually taking like a ton of photos simultaneously, stacking them. And then you can actually move the focus through like the stack of images, and
you can rack focus in the
focus afterwards.
What happened to them?
Yeah, Lytro. That's what it was.
Lytro.
They went out of business, dude. I don't think people really understood the technology and the cost for it versus the specs versus like other cameras. It wasn't ready. It wasn't ready. They Microsofted it, where they basically came out with it like in watch in 10 years, some company will come out with the exact same thing and it'll be half the price and everybody will love it.
Right. Of course. Sony probably.
But I like the idea of the light field camera. I like the idea of just setting a camera, and this is why I like phones, like for recording video on phones, is it's like it's set it and forget it, right? It's like Ron Popeil style. Right. It's like you just point it in the general direction of what you want to record. The microphone array will figure out how to capture you best it can. The camera is going to figure out how to capture you the best it can. It's like you don't do anything. It's like a little green square on Sony cameras, right? You just push the button and you go. But still, I can screw that up. So it's like I would love to have a camera that just could record everything raw, everything, so that you just drag it into the software and then the computer can use its horsepower to like figure out how to dial that in for you and then give you
I have like multiple audio inputs so it's all separate, and although that's hard too. But
I mean, you just like
you
there are
ew.
Did you guys I knew it was coming.
Did you hear that?
But you can record. I mean,
you should have had a microphone closer.
If you got big enough drives, you can set your stuff to record all raw or like a real high bit rate, bit depth, color chroma, 422 or whatever, 444, 10 bit, blah blah blah. But you're going to be
and sound.
It'll be 30 fucking,
everybody.
30 gigabytes every 2 minutes kind of thing. You're going to be stacking up hard drives, and then drag it all into DaVinci. Drag it all into DaVinci because then you're going to need the power for the like color correction in DaVinci is tip top.
Yeah.
And then edit it away. Yeah, go for it. But
and you got to do backups.
Invest in a petabyte worth of storage is all.
But that's it. I actually looked into an online store. I was thinking about like reselling online storage space to filmmakers because the number of people who've given me hard drives just to hold in the basement that have their films on them. And I'm like, you really want to put? All right. I mean, it's one of many that they have, but I'm like, it should all just be in the cloud. Like, why the hell is it on a hard drive in my house?
Security.
Need faster internet too. like even a gigabit.
Oh man, you need fast internet. Yeah, that's the other thing is like that's
still a big. It's still a big issue with
security. Security's better in the cloud than it is in my house. That's for sure.
Nobody knows where you live. Nobody's breaking into your house to steal hard drives.
Yet they are now.
Yeah, good job. There goes all your security, security through obscurity, and now here we are. Oh, what kind of films you got in the basement there, David?
But the funny thing is, like, we probably got like video footage on like old zip drives and stuff. How the hell are you going to get? I mean, eventually the hardware goes off as well. I would, if I could, I'd dump everything into the cloud. Everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's coming. It's going to happen. Everything's going to be a dummy terminal at some point.
Yeah, man. Not until internet speeds get better for everyone. Like there's so much of this, like, oh, you can do cloud editing or like this stuff like Runway ML, where it's like a fully web-based editor with like really good background removal and chroma key stuff and blah, blah, blah. It seems super great. Awesome. Yay. But you can't seriously edit like a feature film that way.
But I got a friend who edits for television remotely now. Because of the pandemic, remote, and he says
he's remoting into a heavy duty. He's remoting into a heavy duty workstation back at the studio.
Yes, the workstation is doing all the work. He's basically just an eye on what's going on. But still, why not? I mean, that's great.
It's weird because like even Adobe was showing off their thing with their deal with Frame.io. Right, they're a remote editing thing. Yeah, and they're showing off this demo. It's real cool, blah blah blah. And even then, at the end of their presentation, it's like, oh, by the way, everything we were showing you was like 1080 30. You're not doing 4K 60 or even like 8K is right out. Like there's just not fast
from a computer
enough.
Under the podium.
Yeah, it's not
fair. Most people edit with proxies anyways. Like when you're dealing with like 9K footage from your Red camera in RAW format, you're not going to be able to jog that without like the most expensive graphics cards in the world.
Which drives me insane because the reality is, then you are editing. We like I've seen this so many times. Stargate, we used to edit on these little like tiny little windows within the screen on their whatever software they were using to do it, and then they would export it all out to HD. And then you go like, oh, look at that. There's half the crew standing in the window there. I mean, like, you don't see it on the
To be fair, at that time, the recording technology was better than the editing hardware.
Yes.
You were probably working on dual Xeon workstations and stuff that even then couldn't barely handle 1080p. And so you got to scale down to quarter res just to be able to scrub fast enough and whatnot.
And that was it. But then if you're exporting to TV, then all of a sudden you're doing HD and exporting to HD or 2K or whatever the hell it is. And then all of a sudden they're like, you're seeing stuff they had to redesign all the sets. Because I was like, you could see the make of the styrofoam you've stuck to the wall.
No, you totally can. Yeah. On the later episode.
When it's like the high, what do they do? Remaster everything. And it's like,
oh yeah. Ew.
What?
It's like, that looks like paper mache. It looked metal when it was 480p, but now at 4K.
You know what you want to look for? You look for paperwork. I'm such a nerd on this stuff. You see documents and stuff, and then it'll be like, oh look, there's someone's contract, or it's like or a newspaper, that's just like made up, and it's just got like blah 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 ipsum sellum
weird like just words.
Yeah, just random great stuff. Random stuff. You'll see.
I recently watched Stargate SG-1 start to finish again. Like me and my wife it took us about a month and a half to get through all of it. I mean, we binged it hard. And we got through
how many you watching? There's like how many episodes are there?
It's a lot. I think I want to say it was like 9 or 11. No, like 11 seasons or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It was a lot, man. And each season had a hell of a lot of episodes. So, but we watched the whole thing through, and I could not believe how many continuity errors there are. Like now that I'm watching,
we're flying by the seat of our pants, man. We're shooting like an hour of television in 6 days.
So
I just shot 40 minutes of television in 17.
Dude, there was 3 episodes in one season where you can clearly see the boom mic in frame. 3 episodes
you know what that
in
might
a
be,
single season. One of them, they're like running through a doorway, and you see the boom mic come down into the doorway, track them, and then disappear up out of the corner of the screen. And I'm like, you can't miss it. But I did somehow miss it the first time I watched it.
Well, you know what else it might be?
Misdirection.
Is you'll find that they have to. It's also how they frame it.
Yeah.
So sometimes MGM is notoriously great at doing a shitty job of everything when it comes to actually distributing and merchandising and all that stuff. So they will spend as little money as possible on something. So what they probably is just up-res episodes without looking. And you up-res them and you get a little bit of headroom. Because keep in mind that mic is sitting right on it's just riding the edge of that the whole time.
Yeah, I bet.
So you reframe it, and all of a sudden it's like, hi,
It's not 4:3 anymore. You got 60:9 or something, and
so my guess is they
more
probably
than what they intended.
My guess is that nobody sat there watching every episode. They just went, cut and paste, and then just change them all and export them, and then try to sell them as Blu-rays or whatever the hell they're doing.
So if you ever watch Stargate SG-1 again, I'll tell you one of the biggest continuity errors that I saw throughout. So when Jack O'Neill becomes, what is it? Not Colonel O'Neill. What is that? Like Commander, whatever O'Neill. What the hell? General O'Neill. That's what he is. So when he becomes a general, if you watch in the episodes where he's a general, there are so many episodes where the number of stars on his lapel change, but right between jump cuts. So he'll have 1 star, and then in the next one he'll have 2 stars, and then he'll go back to a 1 star, and then he'll go back to a 2 star, and it's like
really
they shot it on different days, or when they went to wardrobe, they didn't put it on there, or they gave him a different shirt or something. But
again, that's stuff where you go like that wardrobe should be on that, continuity should be on that. There are people on set specifically for that stuff. Like, so that just pisses me off because that's just people not doing their job.
I rewound it because Miss Barnacules missed it too, and in a couple episodes I rewound it and showed her. She's like, "Holy crap!" Like it's a jump cut of like him at the table, and he's got like 2 stars on here, and then it goes to like one of the other characters. They talk, and then it goes back to him. Like it's a jump cut in a conversation. They must have came back and did another take the next day or something. But then it's like missing, and then they go back again, and then it's back, and then he's up on the Prometheus, and now he's got the 2 stars again, and then he's back on Earth, and he's got the 1 star again. And once I saw that, I started looking out for it in other episodes. It's actually happened a few times.
Oh, I'm sure it happens all the time.
Yeah.
The other thing that happens is it's really, really short turnaround. So they're trying to get these things out really quickly. They're also it's also the trying to pick up performance, right? Like you want to, what are you choosing? You're trying to give up. It's so frustrating, the process, because you go like, oh, I love that take, except that there's a guy standing there picking his nose in the background. You go, well, maybe they won't notice the guy picking his nose because the performance is so good or whatever. Yeah. Like there's a very famous who is it? God, who was the director? I can't remember. It was a French director who said there was this very famous scene of a couple having a conversation, and then they cut. And he's like, oh, it's beautiful. I love it. Keep it. Truffaut. It was Truffaut, Francois Truffaut. And he, beautiful scene. He goes, oh, I love it. It's perfect. The cinematographer comes up and goes like, sorry. Yo, Francie. There's, you can see the camera in the reflection of the mirror behind him. And he goes, I don't care. That was the performance. So you watch the movie, there's a freaking camera crew in the reflection, but he's the director's like, that was the performance I wanted. So I have chosen the performance over the continuity. So that happens a lot too. There was a really interesting one recently with Guillermo. He did the little scene I had in Nightmare Alley has a lie detector machine in it, right? And they had a lot of problems with it because it's an old machine. It's got little pencils.
Oh, like a real one, like a real polygraph.
Oh yeah, it's like a polygraph with all the paper and everything. Cool. And of course, they built this thing around, based on the original. But it's supposed to stop and start on cue. It's supposed to do certain things at the right time and stuff. So I didn't even know it. I watched the movie. I was like, oh man, that really worked. Guess what? Took out the entire real thing and replaced it with CG. Why? Because he wanted the performances. He didn't want to have to cut, they didn't want to have to cut Bradley Cooper's performance based on a freaking misfiring, polygraph machine. So they just removed it all, had it all done digital.
God, that must have been really expensive too. So that must have been one
and you would never freaking know. I went back and watched it, having known that. I couldn't see. I didn't see it.
Wow, man, that's
what was I watched a YouTube video that showed like performances that happened like mistakes in movies that they just kept because they were better than the actual performance.
That happens often enough.
And they call them happy
ad-libs and stuff, or like.
Yep. Yeah. And one of the most
just happy accidents, just weird stuff happens. It's fun.
The grossest one though was Leonardo DiCaprio and Django Unchained. Did you see that one?
Oh no! Where he like smashes the glass and it actually cuts his arm, cuts his hand or something. God. Like it wasn't. Yeah.
So the scene, if you haven't, Django Unchained. First of all, if you haven't seen that movie, it's absolutely fantastic.
It's pretty wild. Isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, oh my god, it's amazing. But there's a scene where Leonardo DiCaprio slams his hand down on the table because he gets mad. Somebody says something, pisses him off. He hits the table, and then what he's supposed to do in the scene is walk over and grab this lady's head or whatever, and talk. And well, he's like got his hand on her head, like manipulating it around because he's like she's a slave or whatever. And so in the scene, he goes to smash his hand down the table. He doesn't look, and he hits one of the glasses. And the glass shatters, and his hand goes down into the glass, and his hand is just bleeding. It lacerated his whole hand.
Not a hitch either. Guy doesn't skip a beat.
It just stays right on task. But the grossest part is he walks over to the woman, puts his hand on her head, and now that he notices the blood's coming out of his hand, he smears it down the front of her face. This is his actual blood. She's not expecting it because it's not a part of the scene, and he smears it across her face, and her face looks terrified, like, what the hell just happened? And then they
call the union, and for God's sake, dude, you don't mess with that shit.
Yeah, that's weird.
Someone's blood on me. That
was pretty damn gross. Yeah.
That's the kind of shit that drives you crazy from actors. You go like, you know what? That's like, it's all very good and well to be in the scene and stuff, and I'm sure it's a great scene, but what the hell? I don't know who Leo's been sleeping with.
Yeah, she literally gets like HPV to like get the perfect scene.
I don't want blood on AIDS. Like, that's freaking disgusting.
Not good.
That's irresponsible. Oh man,
I just can't believe he he left it in, and then his like the woman was like, oh, it was the most disgusting part of the whole movie. I was unexpecting her, but she remained. She played through with it too, and she remained professional throughout the rest of the movie. And I'm like, my God, if I was that lady,
you totally do. Dude. But in hindsight, you got to be thinking like, what did I just do? Why did I? That's not, because that's the kind of pressure you get put under that stuff. So what should have really happened, and again, I know this is boring and no one wants to hear it, but they should they should patch him up, and then if they like that idea, they just fake it. Why risk someone's life for a freaking shot in a movie.
I think the reason being is one, it was Tarantino, right? Wasn't that Tarantino movie?
Yep.
So obviously it's Tarantino. The idea that it was real probably just made the scene that much more awesome for him.
Some macho shit.
And the other thing too is if you watch the expressions on Leonardo DiCaprio's face, like I don't think he could act that. Like I know he's a good actor, but I don't think he could act like that. He really cut himself bad.
Yeah, it said it required stitches.
Yeah, so it. Oh man, the amount of blood coming out was absolutely crazy. But I think that was what. And then he started playing up the performance. He was like he was mad when he slammed his hand down, but after he slammed his hand down, he got like way more pissed.
Yeah, no, I could see it. It's this kind of this. I don't know. I always refer to it like as this like machismo acting shit, which I just kind of bothers me because it's like I just feel like again maybe when I was a kid, when I was younger, I absolutely would have done that stuff. Absolutely. Because I wouldn't have thought anything of it. But when you get older, you start going like, is it worth, potentially giving her something that I don't even know I've got? Or I don't know. It's all very good and well for him to get a great performance out of it. What about the poor actress who's there for like 2 days?
Yeah.
And, is now like, oh God, I got to go get blood tests and ugh. I got Leo on me.
Yeah, so gross, man. Just I don't know. That's those are actors that are taking shit too far. That's like
it's funny because I miss that stuff and I hate that stuff. If that makes sense. Like there's a great like Fitzcarraldo, all those crazy movies where there's like these insane directors try to do insane things like carry steamships through the Amazon and people die and the movie's insane, but it's a brilliant and apocalypse.
What movie was that they did that? I watched the documentary on that where they had to disassemble the ship because they couldn't get it through the canal and they carried it up and over a hill and paid like 500 migrant workers or something like that. To basically
was that if Fitzcarraldo was the film? Again, they don't make them anymore now because they just do it digitally, right? But there were local tribes and tribesmen who died trying to move this ship for a movie. And I'm like, ugh.
And it was hundreds of people. It was a lot of people that did that.
It's insane. But at the same time, it's this like visceral experience. Like you're watching the movie, you're like, oh my God, you can't keep your eyes off it. And there's a sadness to me in that we won't be able to make movies like that because we're smarter and we care more about people and we're forced to care about more people,
Yeah, which military movie was it that they like the actors actually got like PTSD from shooting it? It was
Hostel or something, man. Those movies freaking crazy.
No, it was a Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket, maybe? Is that
I could see that.
It wasn't Full Metal Jacket, although that was pretty crazy too. No, there was another really. It was equally well known as Full Metal Jacket. I just cannot remember the name of it. Something like Hamburger Hill or no, not Hamburger Hill. What the hell was it?
Was it the one Platoon? Was it Platoon?
It might have been Platoon. But there was a movie where it's like it had Charlie Sheen's dad. Martin Sheen was in it.
Apocalypse Now?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it was Apocalypse Now. That's what it was.
Sure.
Where like the actors had like
attack.
straight up like PTSD after it because they were like setting off like real charges in the fields and like blowing shit up like right next to these guys
and doing copious amounts of drugs.
Yeah. They said through the whole thing. Yeah, everybody was like totally coked up through like the entire thing. But I was like, now you watch the movie after seeing that, and you're like, my God, these guys are like the amount of and like somebody died too, like a helicopter or something like landed and the crashed into the water.
That was maybe I don't know if that happened on that one as well, but I know that happened on the Twilight Zone movie, right? There were like 2 people were decapitated by a helicopter at a scene.
Oh my God! Yeah, I think it was just a helicopter
like
crash.
A kid and
something.
A kid and an actor, another actor.
Yeah. The helicopter crashes.
But this is it. Like this is the weird thing, right? It's like I feel like I'm both in sort of mourning for those old school kind of cowboy-like approach to making movies, which was just so cool. And then at the same time, I totally understand why it's got to change because you can't have some megalomaniac idiot running around like saying like, if you don't do this scene, I'm going to shoot you in the head with this gun I'm holding. Like, I mean, like that's like I know they make for great stories, but it's not so much good for for human rights and stuff.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, I can't remember who it was. It was quite a famous actor died in that, didn't they? I thought that was
somebody said Vic Morrow and 2
kids.
Yeah,
Vic Morrow. That's it. Vic Morrow
and 2 kids as well. Wow.
Yeah, like that's just
on a set of Twilight Zone, the movie. That's what it was.
What Tom Cruise movie was it? The helicopter pilot died too because they kept getting him to do take after take after take when the weather wasn't good or something. I think it was one of the Mission Impossibles. They had one of the stunt pilots for the helicopter. Like he was doing it over and over and over again, and then the conditions got dangerous, but Tom Cruise pushed for it. and some dude crashed and died. I don't know if it was just him or if there was a co-pilot too. Let me see here. What was it?
Well, God, perfect example. What about that Rust movie now with Baldwin?
Right,
the guy shoots a gun and kills like.
This drives me bonkers.
Insane.
How does that happen? Okay,
I don't know how that.
I don't know a whole lot about how like films are done and like fake guns versus real like blank firing guns and blah blah blah.
I do, and I don't know how it happened.
Like, oh, it's American Made with Tom Cruise. American Made.
Man,
2 men died in a plane crash on the set of American Made, and Tom Cruise was partially to blame for the fatal accident.
Shit.
So yeah, this was a long time ago. So this is like this was 2017. This article was written, but yeah. So 3 of the pilots hired for the movie were involved in a plane crash during a filming when their twin-engine Piper Smith Aerostar 600 went down in the mountains. Alan Perwin and Carlos Burrell died on the scene, while Jimmy Lee Garland was left without feeling in his lower half of his body. According to the court documents provided by People, the blast. The estates of Perwin and Berlin claimed that Cruise and the director desired the film to be a high-risk, action-packed motion picture, and that contributed to the circumstances that led to the accident. So basically, they wanted him to keep getting more crazy and more crazy with his flying until ultimately they crashed.
And this is the problem. Look, I've been in those situations. I was in a boat scene. The guy said, "Do you drive a boat?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Okay, we'll get in the boat," and I'm like, I just said, I have no idea how to pilot or drive over the boat. I don't know how to say what it is. And he's like, "Oh, it's really easy. This is forward. This is, this is off. This is left. This is right." And he goes, "Okay, so," and he's got a walkie-talkie and he's like going like, "Okay, so just drive towards that windsurfing guy. Cause it's okay. He's a stunt guy." And I'm like, "Okay." So I drive towards and I turn off. They go like, "No, you got to get way closer than that." I'm like, "Well, I don't really feel comfortable going any closer than that." You're like, just get a little closer. And so, but like an idiot, I'm like, I don't know, what was I, probably like early 20s, something like that. And I'm like, I don't know where, I'm in the middle of freaking nowhere. I'm in like South Africa somewhere making this thing. And they're like, closer. I hit the guy with the boat. And I thought I killed him.
Oh my God.
Because I went over the board. I heard this horrendous noise as the propeller just destroyed this.
So did he just bail like right before you hit?
He bailed.
Oh, he's so lucky, dude.
Yeah. And I turn around, so I go into full shock. I turn the boat off. They had to come and get me. Wow. I literally just sat in the boat because I was like, I don't want what I'm doing.
Was the director like, "Get closer, Hewlett, take another take, get closer"?
That was it. Do it. Don't be a pussy. That kind of. Oh, it was awful.
Oh my God,
awful.
That's outrageous.
And so literally, I looked out the boat, made sure he was still alive, and as soon as I knew that, I just literally sat in the boat and made them come and get me.
Oh man,
like,
I don't blame you.
Take it back.
Wow.
So, but you know what the funny thing was? I talked to my friend who was one of the ADs on it, and he said they were packing up. They thought you'd killed him, and they were packing up, and they were going to leave you. They were literally going to go like, "Oh, we didn't ask him to do that. We're done. We're not shooting. What's he doing?" Yeah, isn't that wild?
That's fucked up.
The next episode, they rolled a Jeep and severely injured 3 people.
Oh, good thing that wasn't the day you were on.
Isn't that wild?
Right? Jeez.
Isn't that wild? So that's the problem. Is this is kind of like this cowboy mentality that where it's just like, just do it, just get the movie, just get the shot. Oh my God, it's so fucking cool. Yeah, and then it goes wrong. And then what? Then you're the idiot who just ran some poor guy over who wanted to be a stunt guy. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So I understand from that perspective of like getting bullied into that stuff. I'm not just a coward on television. I bring that with me.
Man, that's
it's weird how the pressure you can very easily be pressured into this stuff.
So
but the
weird.
Weird thing with a gun on set though, like I've never been.
Who brings live rounds to a set? Like how does that work? Like it doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't even know why they bother with using a fucking electric gun or blanks. I guess we used to use blanks, and every so often there's always a risk that
you don't have to do that anymore.
That's it.
Dumb. Most
never ever
flares are CG anyway. Like almost all muzzle flares are CG anyway, and like
because the camera doesn't catch them. They have a great one. They now
you can tell when they switched away from blanks in SG1 though, because the recoil goes away.
Sure. I know. Although some guy came up with this really cool system that does it's like some kind of
a hydraulic thing,
off center,
like a piston inside that moves back and forth, like an airsoft.
It just gives you a little, because that does make a huge difference. You actually have to act.
I like the old movies where it looks like they're throwing bullets. They're like
yeah.
Like the recoil is so exaggerated.
Because they're not. Yeah, they're trying to be like bang. but like a combination of sound and frame rate or something, it looks more like they're flicking it forward. It's so
Again,
funny.
it's just something that's not worth risking anymore, right? You fire a blank and it doesn't eject the cartridge, and the next one comes the cartridge, whatever you call it. And then the next round goes off. You're firing metal at people. I mean, like that's
if it fractures the casing and that debris is left in the barrel, and the next one comes in.
That's how Brandon Lee died.
I was going to say
died on the. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It's like there was schmutz or something left in the barrel or whatever, and it flew out and got him. And
even just wadding will do it, right? Even just that cotton wadding will take a chunk out of you.
Some of that stuff hurts. Yeah, it's no joke. I don't know, man. It's super weird. There's no reason why we couldn't come up with some kind of fake gun that doesn't shoot no bullets. That still's got the that that still got the kick and all that stuff, and it's like, I worry it's the old school guys coming out and going like, that doesn't feel right. I need a real gun. I want to like the sound of it going off, the smell of the gunpowder. It's like, fuck off. Why? Just doesn't come through in the movie. I'm not smelling that as a
boy. Yeah.
I would not. I'd refuse. Like if I was on a movie and somebody had to like point like a real gun at me, like, oh, don't worry, it's got blanks in it, or don't worry, it's empty. I'd be like, no.
Well, what they have a system, right? They have a really good system where they'll show you the gun. And now, in most cases, you wouldn't get. I don't think you'd ever have a gun pointed at you, anyways, that wasn't hobbled in some way. Yeah. So, like recently, when they want the real, so you have a plastic one that you use for most of the time, and then when it comes to like a good close up where they go like you can tell it's a freaking it's been like molded plastic. Then they bring out the real. They bring out the real thing, but it's a real thing that's been literally cut and welded. And so there is no way that it can shoot. And that's the difference.
That was another error I saw in SG1 all the time. Is Amanda Tapping's P90. There's a floppy one that's like it's not even rigid.
Oh yeah, the bendy one,
rubber or foam or something. So anytime if you watch SG1 next time, anytime you see Amanda Tapping doing something like with the gun slung on her chest and she's like down doing compressions on somebody or pulling somebody, you'll see this gun just like hitting against her body and like bending and contouring around her body.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just hitting that poor guy in the face while he's trying to do that.
So when I saw that the first time, I was like, oh my God, because there's one scene where it's really bad, where the gun bends like at like a 30-degree angle. And you're like, what? I don't think a real P90 is that flexible.
Sure,
and the other thing is it's like the Jello gun.
The French are very bendy like that.
All of the guns are that nice. All the fake guns have that sort of that plastic, that molded plastic thing. Yeah. And of course, I don't like nature, so I hose myself down with DEET because I don't want to bug anywhere near me in the vicinity, right? So I hose myself down. By the end of the day, you'd come back and you could see my fingers had melted into the guns. My wardrobe was melting. Those little earpieces would like stick to the side of my head.
So the chemical in that was like eating the plastic?
DEET. It's full DEET. It eats everything. It just eats everything.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. That's terrible.
So I just melted tons of stuff that
way. We got to remold props. We need another gun.
I need the prop gun that's got Hewlett's hand melted into it. I need the one with the grip, the grip bumps in there. That's funny. It's like you can tell this has got his hand in it. It's right there.
But the P90 seemed like a great gun, except that apparently they just don't work well with blanks. Like blanks, they jam all the time with the blanks.
I imagine because it's a very fast firing gun. The P90 is like really quick, and I think
they
it's
are
9mm
gun.
Look, I think it's 9mm. And
it's a custom. It's a proprietary round. The P90 shoots a round that's bespoke for it. Yeah.
Well, maybe they make
looks like a
version.
Well, it looks like it's like
the P90F, which is the P90 with the longer barrel, so that it can be used by civilians. And it fires a really hot custom round that has like a proprietary loadout for it.
So it's 5.7.
It's got that neat little system. It's like a round cartridge that it's almost like a little machine. It looks like an old style machine gun, but in a little plastic cartridge. It's really cool. And they're designed to get wet. They're like all plastic. They're like, there's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, that magazine holds like 50 rounds too, which for a gun that small is insane. Oh God, a firing rate of 1,100 rounds per minute? That's crazy.
It's wicked fast. Yeah.
And I never got any training. I showed up late. No one ever gave me any lessons on it. And all of a sudden they started giving me guns. I'm like, what do I do with it? They're like, just don't point it at anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, it fires a 5.7 by 28mm.
Yeah, that's very.
So there are other guns now though apparently that shoot that round. But I think when the P90 came out, that was a bespoke round.
Oh, man.
They're expensive.
It was supposed to be like the high-tech fancy one.
Yeah, they're super expensive because I've gone to shooting range when I shot the FM P90. Like this is way before stuff got expensive. And back then I want to say it was like over $1 a round, which is weird.
For the bullets?
For the bullet that size, that's insane. That's insane money. Like a 9mm at the time was like 5 to 10 cents a round. It wasn't expensive.
That's cool as shit.
I'd love to go and actually try out a P90, like actually fire real rounds at a range.
They have very little recoil.
I love that gun. Hardly any recoil.
They're and they don't climb. Like the pressure is like directly back on you. It's not like firing like an AR or whatever where it like tries to climb the barrel to the moon.
Well, and just it's the ergonomics of it too. There's this like it just feels so natural in your hands the way it's being sort of molded. It's great. Yeah, well, even more so when I melt it with my DEET.
Custom grip.
Oh yeah, the FN57. That was the pistol, right? Like here, let me look this up. So the FN57.
Yeah,
I think it took the same magazine as 2 or something, didn't it? Oh no, this one it's a pistol that fires the same round as the P90, which is a super high velocity round. That's what makes it really good. Is even though it's a small mass, the round it's moving so fast that it's like it can penetrate armor and all kinds of stuff. Like it's, but again, the cost is why it never really got adopted. As far as I know, like no military force uses it. Like.
The P90?
As far as I know, it's like that was
I see it on TV all the time. I guess just because it's like
cool, it looks badass.
And it shoots in Vancouver.
The barrel
is like shoots in Vancouver. They just got a bunch of them left over from our shoot.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think they're neat little guns. Wait, when they first come out, there was only 2 guns that shot the 5.7, the P90 and the 5.7 both made by FN. Yeah, it was an FN round. Like they even call it the FN 5.7 because it's their round.
That's cool.
But
yeah, I guess it's tough finding the ammo though.
Oh, ammo now is just ridiculous. It's probably like
a Vector. That's the coolest shit, man. The Vector is the coolest. I know we're super off topics now, but the Chris Vector is so cool.
A lot of people are familiar with these guns.
Yeah, they show up in like COD.
I know someone who has one.
The Vector? I bet freaking Kevlar's got one.
Nope.
I bet. Oh, okay.
Nope, he doesn't have one, but
I'm like that sounds like something he would have had. That's cool.
No, he hates it. If you ask Adam, it's a pleb weapon and he hates it and it's garbage. Like it's not of his caliber, but I love it. I think it looks awesome. So
whoa. Hello.
What's up, doggo?
What's up, baby?
Bark, bark.
What's up with you? Bark, bark. Someone is very excited. What you got,
how's Doggo doing?
What you doing, Doggo?
Is that huzzah?
Oh, look at you. Oh my gosh.
What you doing?
Huzzah wants to play.
Back from her walk, I'm guessing. That's my guess.
Oh, wow.
My dog,
man, really trying to get you to play.
Yeah,
my dog is a lazy bum.
I like how the dogs act like they want to play and then they never give it to you. It's like, oh yeah, come on, take it. No, take it.
Oh, look at those eyes. Those are crazy eyes.
That dog is crazy.
That's like first wife eyes.
Oh wow, the P90 is actually used by German police. I wouldn't have guessed that.
I'm not sure we want to hear this. Yeah.
Can't hear nothing.
What is it, Lassie?
Dog.
No, I'm pretty sure Kevlar Condom owned a P90. I know he owned a P90.
I feel like
I don't know if he still has it,
maybe that was what I was thinking.
No, the Chris Vector is that 9mm. It looks like a hybrid between like a pistol and an SMG.
Oh yeah. It's like they just swole up like a Glock that they just went and turned into a submachine gun.
Yeah, I think they're neat.
Yeah,
and just so nobody gets triggered in the chat, we're talking about target shooting here. We're not.
Oh, I'm not. I mean, or home defense or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to.
It's like, So we're not.
I'm not even talking home defense because by the time I get it out of my gun cabinet, there's no use to me, anyways.
Right.
I just set traps.
What's the fascination about guns? Asking as a European who had to do military service, shot the AUG on a daily basis. 50 cal machine gun. Never gave you a
probably because we didn't have to do that.
I think familiarity. Right, familiarity breeds contempt. Right, so like, I do this shit every day, so it's boring. But so part of it, is the novelty, right? Like I've went and shot pistols and stuff at a range that's close by, and it's cool, it's exciting, it's neat. It's like bang, it's cool. But I think it's the novelty of it, right? It's something that you don't do very often. There's a bang, and that's exciting, and that's cool, and you feel, you get that, yeah. That's why our fireworks exciting. It's the same kind of thing.
Similar to fireworks, but there's some skill involved.
I'm not interested in hurting anybody or like that side of it isn't like that. Actually, kind of freaks me out. Like, man, if I had to, like, would I be capable? But like, it's part of it. It's just the bang bang and the like, ooh, this is neat kind of stuff. Yeah.
I think it's more I guess it's the experience, and for me, I get enough of it on set. Like I'm very lucky that way because I get to play with guns on set in a very safe environment with people who know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
it's perfect. It's the best. I literally get to play. I get to do bang bang shoot.
Pretend
shoot gun
cops
play
and robbers
stuff.
Like, yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean? But I'd love to go to a range and do some cool, some actual.
I want to find a rifle range, and there is one I know here in Washington because when I was looking up the pistol ranges, there is a long range around here. Because that to me, to use a phrase, my hard on is for is that long range stuff. Like I want to try.
You got a long range hard on?
Yeah, man, I want to try. Plinking something 100 yards out or more. Like that just seems, and that's
I agree. I always play the
games.
Sniper in.
Yeah, taking video games.
Fortnite, I'm always sniper.
I like sniper rifle stuff in video games and things. And I just want to see, man, could I be this good in real life?
I don't know what it says about us that we like being the sniper who sort of hides back in the safety and then just takes people out from afar.
You're like, I don't want to be close to other people. I don't want to.
I don't want to reach out and touch somebody. I don't want.
I like long range shooting. I do even because I go to outdoor ranges. I don't go to indoor ranges because they don't let you. A lot of indoor ranges don't let you shoot rifles unless you have a really expensive membership. So there's an outdoor range up near Snoqualmie Falls that my friend has a membership with. So that's where I've gone up and done but it's a 200-yard range, which 200 yards through iron sights. Like if you can hit something, within a foot square, you're doing good. So, but I like shooting long range.
There was a rifle range near my grandfather when I grew up, and we used to go when they were. Now I think about it, it was like an odd thing to do. But he used to take us there on weekends when there was nobody there, and we'd pick up all the shells. We'd grab all the bullets that you'd find them in the side of the hill and things. I used to love that. He also had all these ones from World War II. He had giant shells and all sorts of stuff that he'd turn into ashtrays and things, even though nobody smoked. But yeah, there's just something fascinating about it. There's something weirdly, I don't know how it can be primal in that we've invented it. You know what I mean? But for some reason, there's something very primal about a gun. There's something very sort of you feel there's something slightly magical and powerful about it. And I don't mean to be sort of, I don't want to fetish.
Get your adrenaline going, the whole experience of the smells, the concussion on the percussion against you, the way the sound moves through the air and hits you and stuff. It feels like you're controlling something that's crazy. It's like this is
and yet I still hate them. I still in real life.
I told somebody in chat that too. It's okay if you hate guns. That's totally fine. People hate stuff that other people like all the time. It's that's perfectly normal.
I hate guns in the real world. Sorry, a little bit of an aside here. I was again watching the news this morning, and they had to mute because people were swearing. But they're fine to keep watching. People get beaten up and
I've never understood that.
And get pepper sprayed and stuff. I'm like, oh, but God forbid we hear someone say something rude. We can watch them get beaten up, but we just can't. We can't say something. We can't say something rude. Yeah, there's a weird. Standards. So there is a weird sense of our understanding of violence and guns and all that kind of stuff. I feel like we've got a really messed up sense of that stuff. Anyways, not helped by most of the shows that I've been in, I'm sure. But
and there's also target shooting too that literally could not even be used practically for any kind of defense. It's literally just for the art. For instance, if you ever watch where they do what is it? What do they call it? The 3 mile shoot or whatever it is, where they set up these 50 cal BMGs and they're they don't even look like a real gun. They don't even have a stock on them for your shoulder or anything. They're just set up on a bench and they turn in a giant block of metal with a barrel, and they make all these guns custom, and you put one round in it and you get it all set up and perfectly balanced, windage and range find. You push it, and it takes the bullets in flight for 5 seconds.
Yeah,
it's boom, and then there's a camera down at the target. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, whack, and you're like, okay, so they fired something from 3 miles away with all the wind, and at that point, the gravity of the Earth and the curvature of the Earth all plays into it. And I think
that's so beautiful.
I love that.
Like those ski guys, the ones that ski and shoot.
Yep, the ski shoot. That's another.
That's the. Isn't that the biathlon in the Olympics?
I think it is.
But do they use real guns in that, or are they use
kind of 22 long rifle?
Oh, it is.
Yep.
Really? That's impressive too.
Because 22 long rifle is super accurate. They misfire a whole bunch, which sucks. But I'm sure the ammo they're using is perfectly selected, highest grade, never ever misfire.
Pack your own bullet kind of thing.
Yeah, the Coriolis effect that comes into play. That's right.
Seriously, that's so cool. They used to do on Top Shot. They had one that was there was in one season or one episode or whatever, it was a mile. It was like just under a mile shot or something like that.
Wow.
And and one guy did it in one shot. Like he was like former, scout sniper kind of guy, and he just sits there and
dude, that's going autonomous too. We're gonna robot that shit up as well, and then they ain't ever missing.
Gone. That's
what I mean?
Crazy. Man. Wow.
But that's just gonna happen. If it has, it has happened, I guess. But I mean, like, the reality is weird. Like our tools are more precise than we're capable of doing now. So I mean, just bringing the obsolete humans. And I'm saying obsolete humans. I've got to run. I'm sorry. I just got a couple of messages.
Get out of here, man.
But it's family weekend, and it seems like all of a sudden they're all coming out of the woodwork.
Somebody did ask why you have a wheelchair behind you. Can you give us the 10-second explanation why there's a wheelchair sitting behind you?
No reason. Why?
NDA. Johnny Five is alive. That's why.
You guys will just have to watch
my robotics. This is my robotics base. Like, so the bandits and I, my son and I, went and grabbed this from a lovely woman downtown, and then actually, interesting study. We had to get it home, but I don't have a car, so we took the subway. And you want to learn about what it's like to be in a city with disabilities. This is the way to do it.
Good point.
We had to go to different stations. We had to go to different routes. We had to.
I'd file a complaint, man. That ain't right.
Yeah, try to get those things on and off a subway train in Toronto. It ain't easy. Anyways, dude. So, but the point was, what we wanted to do is we wanted to take it apart and use it as a robotics base, because it just seemed like a really kind of a fun way to play. So, but it's amazing how much you can hurt yourself with these things. The first time I got it rigged up,
right?
Well, man, I rigged it up to a little Arduino thing, and it took off by accident. And literally knocked me off my feet. Like, I was standing there, I'm like, "Hey, I got it!" And then I was down. And
you're standing on it?
So it's now. No, I was standing in front of it.
Ran him over.
It ran him over. It literally ran me over. So now it's on a little.
And we wonder why people get shot on sets, because somebody.
Yeah.
I'm going to stand in front of my robots
as you're building them.
I'm going to hit go while I'm standing in front.
And let's face it. I mean, if you want to teach kids stuff, the idea of watching some old guy run himself over with a wheelchair, there's nothing is going to stick that learning in their head better than that. So that's what I'm trying to do.
All right, David,
look, I'm so sorry. I would say longer if I could,
okay.
but I gotta take my leave.
Yeah, we'll catch you on the next few rotations.
I already miss you.
All right, take it easy, bud. Give the family our best.
Cheers.
Dude.
That's so cool.
Well, that's why BattleBots.
I'm talking with David. Yeah, man.
BattleBots have to have lockouts and
they're
shit
coming
on them
back
because they'll kill you, man.
Yeah, they're coming back with the BattleBots.
Is it BattleBots or is it the other one, Robot Wars or whatever? Which one's coming back?
No, I think it's BattleBots.
It is BattleBots? Okay.
Yeah, BattleBots, February 2022 on the 24th at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. BattleBots live.
I wonder if they're going to allow some autonomy now. Like, I think they did towards the end of the last one, where it's like the weapon and stuff can be like controlled by some AI.
Oh, snap. It premiered Thursday, January 6th of this year. It is streaming on Discovery Plus.
Oh, I don't have Discovery Plus. Damn it.
If you have Disney Plus, you do.
Well, that would explain why I keep seeing new BattleBot episodes showing up every time I search for anything on YouTube, because it must be because it's new and came out.
There's
and
like
talking about it.
The Hulu combo that comes with it's Hulu, Disney Plus, Discovery, which includes like Nat Geo and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think ESPN Plus or something, like there's the ESPN streaming thing is all bundled together. Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely gonna watch it because I absolutely love BattleBots. As a matter of fact, we've been watching it every night. Me and Xander watch it every single night in the bedroom before he goes to bed. We do a search for the individual matches on YouTube, and there's playlists, so you can just match after match, so you don't have to watch all the in between stuff.
I bet there's. I mean, even when they stopped doing the show back in the day, I'm sure this was still a thing that was happening, like not underground necessarily, but like out there, like why wouldn't it? It's super cool. This shit's got to be happening somewhere.
Yeah, it's crazy how much money they spend on those things too. Like,
I bet
William Osmond, he just recently bought one. Tech tuber, variety science tuber. he bought a BattleBot used. I don't know how much he spent on it, but he said that the original build cost on it, I think, was $30,000.
Holy moly!
Yeah, like the price of a nice car to build these things. Like it's crazy the R&D and fabrication that goes into building a robot that just goes into arena and gets destroyed.
Yeah,
like oh my gosh! But it's crazy how much they weigh. I mean, they weigh like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Like I mean, there's different weight classes too. But like the one that he got, he's like, this thing's like super dangerous. Like he's got to like, you got to do a lockout system and get away from it and everything before you activate or energize any of the systems. Cause this thing will push a car. Like he has a video where he literally pushes and tows a car with it, like hooks on a chain and pulls a car around with it. So that's crazy. Oh, I pinned the wrong guy. I'm sorry. My bad. Well, you still knew who I meant, so don't be too sad. Hey, I want to thank the super chatters. Christian, thank you for the $7 super chat. Eric G, thank you for the $10 super chat. Said, how's it going, guys? A little late in the show, but I finally got my truck back. Hopefully everything is finally fixed. Anyways, glad to be able to catch the part of the live show. Well, we're glad to have you here, Eric, and I'm glad that you got your semi fixed because that's stressful, dude. Because he's a long haul trucker, and well, short haul and long haul, but his truck's broken down, so it's like you can't work when your truck don't work. Gimpy G Gaming, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, good thing David doesn't go overboard acting now. He might hurt his shoulders, for instance. I don't know what that was in response to earlier, the shoulders.
Because David went to show his coffee cup, but he's like, oh, my shoulders still hurts.
Oh, got it. Oh, yeah, he said that last time.
He got beat up. Yeah, he got pretty beat up from his most recent filming thing. He was gone for a few weeks. And
just makes you want to watch it more, man.
Not gone for a few weeks because he got hurt. He was gone for a few weeks filming, and while filming, because Dave's, we're all getting a little up there in our aging and stuff, and this shit, man, that beats you up. He's pretty action packed sometimes, the guy.
He is, man. He goes hard. Russell White, thank you for the $5 super or the $4 super chat. He said, thanks for the content over the years, mate. You're the reason I got into 3D printing years ago. Well, congratulations. I'm sorry I hurt your wallet so much.
Dude,
speaking of 3D printing, not only do I need to get back into 3D printing, we need to give this AuxxZillary guy 3D printing.
That's it, dude. Okay, so I'm trying really hard not to let my ADHD derail my focus on computer stuff, right? But I've come across this other project that I'm really stoked about, and I'm like, I don't want to let it go because I have like the stuff. I just need to like make it, right? So as background on this, and I stumbled across on Etsy these little dioramas. These guys are putting together these little plastic cubes. They're like 4 or 6 inch cube, really like 4 inch cubes, and it'll have like a scene from Pokemon in it, but it's like paper cutout, and it's like it's not really 3D because like you look at it from the side and it's just paper, right? But I'm like, man, I have this silhouette cutter machine, and I've got this 3D printer. I'm like, I feel like, and dude, these guys are selling these little cubes for like $40, and I'm like, and it's a cheese ball. Like this kid is cutting them out with scissors or something. You look at these pictures and they're terrible, but the guy has sold like 2,000 of these things for like $40 a pop, because Etsy will tell you like, oh, this person has made so many sales. Mm-hmm. And it's basically all he's selling these cubes and some keychain stuff, and he's doing pretty good for himself. I'm like, this is crappy quality. Like, I know I could do this better by hand with an X-Acto knife, and this kid is doing this like in his mom's basement with some shitty scissors or something. It's not good quality. But I'm like, man, I got this stuff, and like, I don't think it'd be a whole lot to really get into it, but like, I need to get the silhouette thing hooked up and working proper, and then the 3D thing. And I do, like you were saying, like I want to kind of smush them together somehow. Yeah. Like, I don't know if I'd print out like a little, like something kind of thin that I could put the paper onto, like stick it like a little silhouette thing and stick the paper to it, or I don't know, 3D print the little guys or something, and then make the little dioramas like proper 3D would be kind of cool, but tiny, like little.
If you just 3D print one thing, you'll be hooked. That's how it works.
That's the thing.
If you plug in that printer, you go get one STL slice it, stick it in the little thing, and hit print, and just watch it sit there and goober out its plastic. You'll be hooked, and you'll just want to keep doing it.
I've got the little test robot guy still, even the Ultimaker. Like this is like what it comes built with. Print this thing out to make sure your thing's set up right. And this was done with the one at Puget Systems, so it's a little jank. I think that's like an original Ultimaker.
Yeah.
And you let me have the
You have an upgraded
2.
Ultimaker too, yeah.
So, yeah. So like, I'm just, I mean, if I could print out little Pokemans like this big in a little diorama kind of thing, I think that'd be pretty sick.
Oh, totally, dude. You just got to plug it in and do it, man. I do too, though. I'm one to talk, right? I haven't 3D printed in like a year, and I've got like 8 printers, right now. So I gotta get that going.
Even if it was just little flat, like, it doesn't have to be fully 3D. Like I could print them out laying flat, and like that'd be okay too. Like little 2D side by side kind of thing. I think that might be the way to go.
There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. Like people are really big on lithograms. Have you seen those? I think it's called lithogram, where it's like you take a picture and you convert it into a 3D topographical map, and the light shines through, and then the thicker areas block more light, and it makes it look like a photograph when it's in the window.
I've seen that. Yeah, that is cool.
I printed that on an Ultimaker, and it looks fantastic when you do it.
That's cool.
I printed my logo, and it's like sharp and clear and everything when you put it up to the window. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So you just got to do it. Hey, Bitch Boo, thank you for the $5 super chat. So just tuned in. Would Dave please explain the wheelchair base? Okay, well, we already got that.
Oh, we did that, yeah.
Yeah. So Shieldsy RFC, thank you for the $7 super chat. He said, send love from Scotland. Ooh, we got the Scotland in here. Thank you, sir. I am me. That's good to know. Oh, wow. $21.89 super chat. Thank you so much, man. It's the biggest super chat of the day. Or 200 sexes. We got to acknowledge the sexes. He said, got nothing to say. Just shut up and take my money, dang it. Hey, no problem. We can do that, man. Review playing and more RPM sent $8 super chat. He said, I always look forward to watching your streams. You rock. Thank you for what you do. Thank you, man.
Thanks for being here.
That.
Yes. Even though we
special.
Barely talked about anything of our.
I mean, that's typical. That's just typical right there.
Forgive me, my friend, but it's pronounced Pokemon. Yes, I know.
Well, technically, we did talk about 3D printing technology. We did talk about my terrible luck, and we did talk about the not SpaceX rocket crashing into the moon. So the only thing we haven't talked about is Windows 11.
That's true. We did talk about the moon.
We did.
That's in 3D stuff. Yeah, we did. We did okay.
We did. Yeah. Can you hold down the fort for 2 seconds while I go pee again?
I think so.
I gotta go pee, man. I got to pee so bad. Got a old man bladder.
I know how Pokemon is supposed to be pronounced. It's funny and generates engagement when I say Pokemans, because I'm an old man now, and that's how things are. No, I grew up on Pokemon. Are you kidding me? Like that's I can still identify the first 151 of them. Like I still got them all memorized. So I know. But I appreciate. I generally I don't mind being corrected on pronunciations, because that is something that I really enjoy. Actually, is learning how to pronounce things properly. So I'm not Chin Pokemon. Yeah. What's to say about Windows 11 other than don't get it? At this point, I would agree. I have Windows 11 on my work machine, and I have no problem. I've had no problems with it whatsoever. I have it on my laptop, and it works just fine. Jerry's a tinkerer, right? He's an enthusiast. And so Jerry's going to run into issues because his stuff is very spit and baling wire kind of stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, Pokefan since 98. Yeah, easy. For sure. Fox and Friends or whatever. If you could tell your past self anything, what would you tell them? Do not go into mobile development. Don't take out student loans for mobile development. Focus on live streaming. Play video games online. Build PCs at home or whatever. I can't install that shit. Do the diorama in the shape of a Pokeball rather than the cube. That's brilliant.
What?
That's brilliant. Untitled Text says, do the diorama in the shape of a Pokeball rather than the cube. You could 3D print the mold for it and resin cast in that.
Bingo.
That's actually really smart. Are you saying Jerry messes with things he should not within Windows 11? Lol. Jerry,
no, I'm
Jerry
just doing
tinkers.
Regular stuff, dude.
Jerry tinkers, man. He pokes into not that he shouldn't, of course. Like, right to repair and all that shit. You can do what you want with your stuff, dude.
Barnacules, man.
That's sick. But no. I just I highlighted that because Jerry's experiences are not translatable to the general public, right? As an average user, you're probably fine. You're probably fine upgrading to Windows 11, honestly, unless you have some professional level software, Premiere Pro. All I really play with are content creation stuff. So your mileage may vary. But if there's any software that you use for work or that generates you money, check with the software vendor to see if they have approved Windows 11 compatibility for their software, because you can run into issues, especially if you are rocking new Intel 12th gen stuff. The thread scheduling and whatnot and blah 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 is weird. It's different. It's changed. But as it stands, upgrade or don't. As an average user, upgrade or don't. It's not going to affect a whole lot for your day to day. Guys like me and Jerry, we run into issues because we're outside that normal average user base. Actually, even me, I'm closer to an average user even than Jerry, because like I said, my work computer has 11. I haven't had any problems. My work laptop had 11, no problems. But that's different, right? Different workflow, different setup.
Well, I use more functionality of the operating system than the average person probably does.
You're a power user, man. You get into
I'm a power
registry editing and stuff, and even my enthusiast level isn't. I don't fuck around with that kind of stuff. So
the bugs that I've been finding, though, a lot of them are regressions, like stuff that worked fine in Windows 10 that's just completely broken or missing in Windows 11. And that's where I stand with it. Is like they've removed so many shortcuts that I have to take the long route to do so many things that were fast before that are now much slower.
It drives me bonkers trying to find my sound devices. Like if I need to get to the list to disable things, it's a pain in the ass trying to find all that. The volume mixer even is a pain to find. What about gaming on Windows 11? You're probably fine. Again, if you're not on 12th gen Intel or the soon to be 6000 series, 7000 series AMD stuff that's coming, it's not going to make a difference. It really, other than some aesthetics stuff, you probably won't notice anything.
There are, okay, so let me go through some of my bugs just so people know if they're going to hit them. Okay. First of all, if you hit the Windows key and you type something and you hold down Control and Shift and press Enter to elevate it, gone. That functionality is missing. Like that's functionality's been in there since Windows Vista. And
that's to run as administrator.
Run as administrator. Yeah. So now you have to use the mouse or you have to use the context menu on it to get to run it as administrator. You can't do it with the keystroke. But it still works in Windows R. So if you do Windows R to open the run dialog, it still works there to hold Control and Shift. It just doesn't work under the start menu as it always has historically. That's the other thing is the emoji menu is way slower than Windows 10. So if you open up the emoji window and you're a fast typer and you type in like smile, enter, and then it closes and it won't put anything there.
Yep, I've run into that.
The bug I've run into the most though consistently that I feel is like a breaking issue for most people is that Control C doesn't always work. If you copy text and you do Control C and you go somewhere and you do Control V, about 1 out of 5 times it won't paste what you copied. Like it won't be in the clipboard. If you go look at the clipboard, sometimes you have to hit Control C. You have to do things twice to get it into the clipboard. That I don't like. That's been driving me nuts.
I didn't realize. I thought that was me. I thought that was you.
Nope, that's happening to everybody, dude.
I do a lot of copy pasting for work, and I hadn't realized. I thought
how many times have you gone into something like selected it with like Control A or drug it and then do Control C and you go to the other thing, hit past, and it pastes the last thing that was in your clip.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I must not have copied it. No, you did.
Yeah,
you did.
Oh, snap. Well, there you go.
So that's a big bug. But here's some of the more obscure bugs that not everybody might be hitting, but they're still really bad. Is like right now I'm streaming right in OBS. OBS's UI will just lock up for 15 to 30 seconds with it doesn't say not responding though. This isn't a GDI issue with the app not responding. This is the physical rendering in the UI of Windows just locking up completely for a given application for 15 to 30 seconds, just intermittently. And it seems to happen in any application that composites video. So it happens in Chrome, it happens in Edge, and it happens in OBS so far.
Damn.
If it happens in Adobe Premiere, that's a deal breaker. I haven't tried that yet, but if it happens in Adobe Premiere, that's a complete deal breaker for me. I'll reinstall back to Windows 10. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Gaming, you get auto HDR. So if you have an HDR screen, that's kind of worth the upgrade. However, gaming performance, I mean, it seems about the same in the games that I've played. I've played Flight Sim 2020 and I played Forza Horizon 5, and both of them seem like, I mean, they both ran good to begin with. But I didn't notice any bigger slowdowns or anything in Windows 11, so that's good. So in getting that fake HD, I call it faux HDR, getting that faux HDR if you have an HDR display actually does make like older games look a lot better. It really does. Gives them a lot more punching contrast. So let's see what other bugs have I encountered that were like really shitty. Right-click context menu on the desktop takes an additional click to get to the rest of the options that used to be there.
Yep.
Right-clicking on the taskbar doesn't give you Task Manager anymore. It just gives you task settings. You have to actually right-click on the Start button now to go to Task Manager.
I also don't like that they changed like copy, paste, cut, all that stuff to these like little icons. I didn't like that. I got used to it, but I didn't like that.
Yeah,
I didn't like that at all.
That's a common theme throughout Windows 11 too, is this collapsed icon tree instead of text. And the reason that they're doing that is because localization is a pain in the ass. So they figure images, they're the same to everybody, so they don't need to localize it. And that cuts down on the size of the operating system, cuts down on complexity and testing matrix that they have to do. So you're going to see a lot more stuff have a default of just an image.
I'm okay with that. Like, it took a second. It took a little bit to get used to it and stuff, but it's fast. And like, it was just more like mildly uncomfortable for a little while, and then it's like, oh, okay, this fits. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah,
it was annoying, but not like, I'm gonna go back. But I definitely recommend, just unless you upgrade to the 12th gen Intel, stay on Windows 10. But if you jump
in yet,
what's that?
No direct IO. So like their shipping feature that was supposed to make your hard drive reads faster for games and stuff. Nope, nowhere to be found. And they just added Android in the release. I think it was 2 days ago. 2 or 3 days ago, they added the Android support. But know that you have to have an 8th gen or better processor to do the Android support. However,
which you got to install the Windows 11. You should anyway. Like, no, they install Windows 11. I know, but I'm just saying you should be more modern if you're going to be running Windows 11.
No, but
don't be rocking a 4790K. I know. Well, sort of. It's
Dude,
some
I'm
of
on
it.
an i9-7940X. That's still a $500 processor for crying out loud.
But that's HEDT as well. That's your X299 machine, and like that's a whole different sort of market as well. Most of these folks are on core
is
stuff.
Still supported by Windows 11.
It is, yeah, but like there's different focuses, I think.
Okay, so here's my gripe. Here's my gripe is that Windows 11 now, it didn't before. They fixed it. They backdated some of the 7th gen processors. So now it installs, but the Android support requires an 8th gen processor. However, if I just drop out to PowerShell and I force install the component, it works fine. And I even tried playing PUBG Mobile, TikTok, all these like apps worked flawlessly. And by the way, they don't give you access to those apps. You have to sideload them using an APK loader. But it works flawlessly on my CPU. So why the hell are they requiring an 8th gen when it works flawlessly? Even for 3D rendered complicated Android apps, it runs flawlessly, yet they're requiring you to have a better processor. I don't get it.
I think this might, and I could be wrong, but when was the Spectre meltdown stuff? Wasn't that in the 7th gen?
No, they have microcode patch for it.
Right, yeah, but it wasn't built in yet. But that's when it came up, right?
Correct.
Was in the 7th gen, the Z270 stuff?
That I'm not 100% sure, but I want to say 8th gen was already out when that was all discovered. Oh wait, no, we're just on 9th gen, right? Is 9th gen current?
No, we're 12th gen now. 12 900K.
No, Spectre was still a problem then in 8th gen.
Okay.
We just got the microcode fix for that last year.
I'm sure part of it is just to push people to newer hardware, really.
That's what I feel like it is. And I don't like that. Like, I think if there's not a valid reason, it's like if you want people to use newer hardware, then do a feature that uses the newer hardware. Like, do something.
And it could just be, partly laziness too. Like, we don't want to support this old stuff, chipset stuff and whatnot. So it just
drives me nuts that you can install Windows 11, but then it doesn't let you install the ship. Like one of the primary features in the keynote was now you can run Android apps on your desktop natively without BlueStacks. Oh my God, this is revolutionary. And then you install Windows 11 and you go to add that feature and it's not available to you. The direct storage is not available to you. It's like all the stuff that was the shipping features. The only thing you get is the auto HDR for gaming. Yeah, that's it. Like everything else just doesn't work, and it's like,
like Mike the tech, I think says it better here. It's supporting older hardware has been holding Windows back. They're pruning out older hardware so everything runs and feels the same. Which I can see some of that. Yeah,
what's the difference between 7th gen and 8th gen? Other than some minor performance, what is the difference? They have the same instructions. There's no new extensions.
Yeah.
They're literally clones. Except for can't 8th gen run on X299? I'm almost positive it can. Hold on here. Let's see.
That's two totally separate things. We're talking Core I stuff versus their X Core stuff. That's totally separate. The X stuff, which by the way, don't bother
Like, ninth gen is when they switched over to the HEDTX 299 refresh.
Right, but it's more of a gimpy Xeon than an upgraded core processor. The X series stuff is Xeon based.
Fair enough. Yeah, that was a very expensive processor. I remember when it came out, it was like $1,200 processor.
And I'm shocked that they just I think Intel just basically abandoned it. It's like everything's Xeon gold.
$500 on eBay. I was like, my God, for a 7th gen X299.
Yeah,
$500 for the CPU.
Because nobody's making this stuff anymore. Intel just like, I guess they're just focusing completely either Xeon W, their newest Xeon stuff, and just left it all behind.
It doesn't bottleneck the 3080 though. That's the thing, is like
I wouldn't think so.
Isn't bottlenecking it, so it's like, again, it's like I understand that Windows 11 has more hardware acceleration and more GPU dependence, but it's like if my CPU isn't bottlenecking that, then let me use it.
Yeah. I mean, you got what, like 128 PCI lanes or something on that thing?
Yeah,
I'm really which I know is probably not correct. It's probably less than that, but it's outrageous number of lanes. Less. But that's part of the draw. Like, I mean, that was something that X299 had all the lanes, then Threadripper dropped and nuked everything. Yep. Yeah. And you still ran into problems with what is it?
They haven't fixed all the Threadripper problems in Windows 11 too, by the way. I've still been hearing copious amounts of things even on the latest build that they're still having some performance issues.
Microsoft totally was hand in hand with Intel on Windows 11 thread scheduling and stuff. That they worked with Intel on that, and it's a different implementation than what. Plus, that's another wacky thing too. Like Threadripper and Threadripper Pro should be more of a equivalent to like your X299 stuff, and that's wonky. Like there's so much weird shit. So like if you get too many cores, if you go over like 32 cores, Windows freaks out because it has problems with logical processors. Over a certain, like it freaks out. It tries to, over 32 cores, it puts some of the cores into a new logical processor, and then it can't handle how to like move instructions around, because it's like, I'm pretending like I have a dual CPU setup, but like this other CPU is only like a dual core or something, because like, I have only 36 cores now, and so I got to put 4 of them over here, and like it's so weird, and then it can't decide like which cores are supposed to be on the logical processor or not, and like blah blah blah, which Windows 11 helps with because of their new thread scheduling thing. But even still, over 32 cores
changes between SKUs too. So like Pro and Enterprise have different thread schedulers. Like the Enterprise build gets so much more performance out of a multi-core, like over 32 cores. It will get so much more performance.
Highly recommend, if you are on a personal machine, a workstation for your own self, and you're going to be using Windows 10 or Windows 11, a consumer level operating system, do not go over 32 cores. Just don't. Not for a while yet. Like they are still, Windows and Microsoft still trying to figure this shit out. And that is
Windows
probably
11 specific problem with the new thread scheduler, because I know Windows 10 handled like 128 core system. I've seen
it still gets weird with Windows 10 too. Yeah.
Oh wait, didn't you guys do a write up on that? I remember reading that where they said that there was a big performance drop.
Yep.
After 32 cores in like Adobe Premiere encoding or something. I do remember that article.
And it has everything to do. It has Matt Bach talks a bit more about it. He has a better understanding of it, but the gist is it's something wonky. You get past 32 cores, Windows bumps it off to another logical processor and then freaks out. Like it doesn't know what to do with it, and it like jumps back and forth. Or imagine having a dual Xeon machine and then running a big massive project. It slows down because one CPU can only access so much memory on this side of the board, and then the other CPU can only access so much memory on the other side of the board. And if CPU A tries to get at RAM junk number 2, it's got to go through CPU B to get it, and that usually has to go all the way through the chipset and come back around. It just takes fucking forever. They're still working out like the direct access to graphics card memory through the PCI, so you don't have to go through the chipset. You can go directly to the graphics card and back. They're still figuring that stuff out. Don't upgrade to Windows 11 unless you absolutely have to, and you have less than 32 cores.
Yeah, it's honestly for me, it's not like
don't.
comparing the two. It's just it's visual. It's visually appealing. It looks cool, but the functionality just isn't there. Like my workflow every day, I find repetitive operations I do over and over again, like the clipboard, the emoji window, the screen capture, the Windows key for opening up the start menu, typing, and then opening elevated. Those are all things I do on a daily basis. The right click context menu to do send tos and to open stuff in other applications. All that stuff is stuff that I did every single day repetitively. So it's like, even though it costs me an extra 3 to 4 seconds for each one of these actions, having to do extra inputs, that adds up, man, big time. By the end of the day, you're pulling your hair out. Like, shit, I lost, I lost 15 minutes of my day doing that shit.
So I'm going to grab this question from Gimpy G. So he has, is the problem only with multiple CPUs? No. So to be clear, we're talking single CPU, very high core count. So like you can get a Threadripper or Threadripper Pro that goes all the way up to like 64 cores or something, and then that's 128 threads. So and that's a problem. Windows will see all of those cores, anything over 32 cores for whatever reason. It will then decide that all of the extra cores beyond 32 are on another. It pretends it's a logical processor. It pretends as if it is a second CPU installed into your machine, and that causes problems because it's not.
Interesting. I didn't know it did
that. Logical processor. And I'm sure
like hyper-threaded cores that present to the operating system is like a separate CPU, like two CPUs.
Yeah, I guess.
That's weird.
I guess. Yeah.
Like their version of hyper-threading or something.
I don't know exactly how it works, but this affects Intel CPUs as well, though there aren't a lot of options that go that high. But yeah, anything over.
So Dave's Garage on YouTube, I know he has some videos where he's been doing testing on Windows 11 on his 128 core box. I don't know if he's getting the 128 cores because it's like a server box with like 4 CPUs or something. I really don't know what he's running in it, but he's been doing testing with the new Task Manager because he's the original person that coded Task Manager. If you didn't know, Dave's Garage, he actually wrote Task Manager, the OG Task Manager. And so he's testing the new one since he retired from Microsoft. He's testing the new one that's in the Insider preview build. By the way, they're changing everything in it. So next time you upgrade to the major build, there's going to be a whole new Task Manager that supports dark mode and everything. But yeah, he has 128 cores showing in one of his videos where he's doing testing.
Sure. And that could be like Epic or Threadripper Pro, I think, goes up to that many like physical cores. I think there is 128 core Threadripper Pro. I think maybe that's an Epic one. I don't know exactly. But Napalm here in the chat says they used a 32-bit unsigned integer to store the processor affinity for threads, which limits to 32 logical cores per processor. So
okay, it doesn't look like it's out yet, but Zen 4, AMD's Zen 4 is going to be up to 128 core, specifically built for cloud computing.
That's the next Threadripper Pro or Epic then.
Okay.
Would be
okay.
Yeah,
I don't see one right now.
Eventually that'll trickle down to Ryzen 2, but Ryzen's not going to go any higher than like 32 or 32 cores or something. That's like consumer grade shit. Like they're not going to do that.
So I found it. So
I'm guessing.
So it's the AMD Ryzen Threadripper 3990X is 64 cores, but 128 threads. So it's like hyper threading. It's presenting another 64 logical cores. So that would give you 128 showing in Task Manager.
That makes sense. Sure.
That's insane, man. That is, I got like 14 cores and I thought that was hot shit. That's crazy, man.
Oh, shoot. I think even what?
I mean, they can't be running that fast, right? These are like 2 gigahertz.
It'd be like 2.9
or something.
2.9 maybe at best at turbo. Yeah.
Damn,
yeah, it can't be that fast.
How much is this? Like, God, how is AMD even competing with this? Like, I mean, other than Windows 11 not working.
More cores.
Oh, let's see. Okay, so we got one processor to render them all. I love that. That's their slogan on AMD site. Now with the groundbreaking 64 core, the world's most powerful desktop processor will render time irrelevant. Okay, how much is it?
I want to buy how that works. Your software has to take advantage, butthead.
Yeah, right.
You got to have very well threaded fucking software to really make time irrelevant. Like, come on. Multi-frame rendering in After Effects is a good example, though, for these massive number of core kind of deal. You basically have like a full like render farm kind of built into your chip, into your little chip. Yeah, it's outrageous. Finally, Adobe's like starting to fucking figure out multi-threading, like in the last couple of years. Not that I'm like a big.
How far Adobe is behind, dude.
I'm not real big into like content creation and stuff, or dealing with Premiere Pro and all this stuff. And to be fair, like Matt and I actually talked with somebody from Adobe. I can't recall. And get this, like Premiere Pro, I think in particular, has not had a full like code rewrite ever. There is still code in Premiere Pro from 1.0.
Well, to be fair, Windows still has code in it from 3.1.
It's just stacks and stacks and stacks on top of each other.
Yeah.
And that's why it's taken so long for them. That's why like DaVinci Resolve is so much better at multi-GPU and handling that sort of thing and better threading and whatnot, is because like it's newer, it's younger software. Adobe's just been stacking updates and updates and updates on old code and stuff, and that's why Premiere is kind of janky. After Effects to a certain extent as well is just they haven't ever like just started fresh.
I just can't believe how long it is taking them to even just optimize what they got. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
DaVinci Resolve like has full GPU hardware acceleration. Like you can jog with like noise reduction and shit enabled. You go into Adobe Premiere and the computer just falls over and like shits itself.
Imagine taking like your old like Model T and just keep adding new stuff onto it to keep it like modern and whatnot.
Yeah, no matter how many turbos you put on it, it's still got skinny ass tires, right?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty jank. But now imagine, and so that's Adobe, right? That's Premiere Pro and After Effects. But DaVinci Resolve comes out and says, "Oh man, I'm just going to start with my '92 Civic because." Like, why would I start from 100 years ago and use a frame and stuff from back then? Like, silly. Like, we've done so much better since then. Like, you start from like you start from a place of like we've learned from all of those shitty mistakes that they made. We don't have to do that. Adobe's just been kept adding and adding and adding to this horse-drawn carriage to hope that it works right. So
it's just it just blows my mind, like with how many people that use Adobe Premiere. I feel like Adobe's doing the same thing Microsoft did with like Windows Mobile 6, where they just get really complacent because it's like an industry standard and everybody needs After Effects and nobody really makes something that's comparable to After Effects. Like not even DaVinci Resolve's like knockoff After Effects as good as After Effects. So because they have that one hook in you that's like, oh, you have to use After Effects, but it only integrates with Adobe Premiere and Photoshop and all these other apps that haven't been updated in like 5 eons to be performant. You're basically just forced to do that. And the thing I hate is After Effects isn't even that well optimized, but at least After Effects uses the damn GPU. You go into Adobe Premiere and it's like you enable GPU accelerated hardware encoding, blah, blah, blah. It will never use your GPU more than like 10%.
Yeah. So there's some unfair comments coming in from the chat. So Jason Bourne says like the price you pay for these Adobe products and yet they can't be arsed to hire competent coders. They have very competent coders. Why do you think it works the way that it does, even if it isn't that great? Like it works, and it works great, honestly. And then this is why people would rather use Macs for important work. No, the film industry doesn't actually use Macs as much as you might think.
Yeah.
Maybe for some 3D work and stuff, but Apple fucked over content creation for like a decade. Like people still use like old funky G5s and stuff, but man, and then they got into a fight with an Nvidia. Fuck them. No, a Mac is not as creative. Does not have the place in creative workflows as you might think.
Just to be clear though, Apple nails the personal content creation when it comes to just like recording stuff on your cell phone and having it like move over to your laptop and seamlessly like uploads. For content creator stuff workflow, like single person workflow, it's great. But Adobe is like industry standard. Like
Apple has a stranglehold on their entire production line. Yeah. The hardware, of course, Final Cut Pro is going to work great on Apple hardware because Apple made the software. Apple made the software to work. It's fully optimized for their hardware. Like no shit. Of course it's going to work great.
Exactly.
Like, but again, that just highlights why DaVinci is so great, because they've had a chance to start 50 meters ahead from where Adobe had to start back 35 years ago or whatever, right? They got to learn from decades of mistakes and experience. Adobe's just trying to keep up with their rickety ass stuff. And And Adobe, I think, is dumping a lot of effort into ARM. Look what you can do with a Photoshop on an iPad. Look what you can do with Premiere Pro on an M1 MacBook. Like, that's amazing. They are like, it's not fair to bring it's a little unfair to bring Apple into this conversation when Apple controls everything in their space. If Microsoft wanted to make actually, that's not a good example, because again, the hardware support that you need to handle is outrageous. It's just outrageous. But there's so much more power on PC. The Apple versus PC for content creation argument is moot. There is a little bit when you bring in the ARM stuff, but like, that's really super new and super fresh, and it's apples and oranges to compare a PC workstation to a Apple, even the Mac, whatever thing they're coming out with, like a proper like desktop ARM powered desktop, right? It's not quite right.
And ARM is the future, so I could see Adobe being heads down, just working on the ARM stuff with reckless abandon.
It's a chance for them to build it from the ground up, focused completely on one kind of technology. They don't have to cobble all this shit together over the last, like I said, 30 years. It's a chance to learn from all of their mistakes, build brand new, fresh software that focuses right there on what's new and fresh. Like, it's a reboot for them, and that's great. Of course it's gonna work better because it works. Yeah, it works. They're getting a chance.
It blows my mind though.
Do it brand new.
Yeah, Final Cut Pro. I was this is years ago. I went over to Graham's house when he was editing the drone video that we did out of Dirtfish, where we were like comparing the Inspire 1 with the Phantom, I think 3 or Phantom 4. And I remember he had a MacBook. It was like a 17-inch MacBook Pro from like 2014 or 2015. Yeah. And he was jogging 4K footage and Final Cut Pro and like jump cutting and doing everything like super fast. Him and Andrew were on there. And they're just like railing through. I could not believe how smooth it ran on the laptop. And I was like embarrassed because like at home, I've got this massive computer with GPUs in it and like multiple screens across. And Adobe Premiere is like jogging like crap. And I was like, wow.
There's also something to be said about how they're recording that footage, in what formats. And so if they're appropriately recording their footage specifically to edit in Final Cut Pro, then yeah, of course. Like, it's the codecs and codecs and all that stuff or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what kind of stuff. I don't know what DJI outputs at or whatever. But if you can output to ProRes and just natively drop it into Final Cut Pro, yeah, of course you're gonna have a better time than dropping that same ProRes shit until the last couple of years right into, because Adobe didn't support ProRes without certain plugins and stuff up until just a couple years, like a year or so ago. I'm sorry, exporting. You couldn't export directly to ProRes from Adobe without plugins and stuff because Apple, right? But yeah.
Oh damn!
If you optimize your footage for your workflow, Windows dominates. I'm sorry, but it's the truth.
So we just got a huge super chat, bro.
Oh shit! I see this. $33.
Yeah, I don't even know how to pronounce this. Do you want to take a shot at it?
Valier Bran, Skiving, Hexagon, and Self-Help.
$33 super chat plus another $3.69, keeping it 69 chat. Great stream, Barnacules. Thank you, man. Yeah, I was gonna butcher that, dude. You did way better than what I was thinking. Just so funny. Oh, hey, did you guys hear that? Hold on. Hold on. Still, there we go. All right. I don't know if the noise filtered that out, but I'm sure it won't for my sinuses. Oh, that felt good. I just did not the fart. I did something funner. So there it goes. It took a second. Those good times. Well, dude, we're at the end of the stream.
Nice.
And I think we actually hit all the topics. Holy crap.
In a sense. Yeah.
We did in a sense. I mean, we didn't talk about like the houses, the 3D printed houses. We'll just save that for the next one.
Super cool stuff, man. It's just neat. There's companies out there 3D printing homes. Like it's kind of cool stuff. Like, imagine instead of like PLA, it's concrete. Like it's exactly the same kind of thing, but it's bigger and different material. But you can knock out. I saw there was a Chinese company. This was years ago, even. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. A Chinese company like pumped out in an entire little neighborhood, like a good dozen homes or something in like a week. You could print out a home in 24 hours. and people awesome. They like built out this little neighborhood, and I think people moved in like a month or something. It was just wicked fast, super cool. Which I mean, we have like a housing issue in the United States as it is, and like, why are we building more homes when nobody can really afford them, and there's all these empty houses to begin with, and blah blah blah. That's a whole thing that we could get into, but the technology is cool and it's fucking great.
Yeah, 3D printing is going to be a huge leap forward. Definitely.
Oh, somebody gave me a link. Somebody in the chat gave me a link to 3D printed drugs.
Oh, like, I've already seen that. Like the pharmaceutical printers that can like generate.
Yeah, man, and it's super cool. Like you can print out a little capsule that is like, it's like, oh, the baby needs like only just a little bit, and then this guy needs like a long-term spread. So like depending on how they print the capsules or whatever, like it's different. It's super cool.
It's like customized drugs per person. Like you don't have to just go and get like they only have 5 milligrams or 50. You can get 3.752 milligrams of something with something else in it. Like I don't know. I think that'll be cool because eventually we'll get to the point where it's like you don't have to take 7,000 pills a day if you have like an organ transplant. You just take the one custom pill that has everything in it. Because it's always nanograms, right? Like 90% of the medications little sprinkles you take, it's like a speck of sand with all that filler so that you can grab it and put it in your mouth. Yeah. And it's like, if you could just put that all in one pill and take it, that'd be awesome.
It's funny you mentioned that. I broke open one of my Adderall XRs, and it's kind of like that. It's full of these tiny little beads.
Yep, and one half of those beads basically melts immediately, and the other half of the beads only melts after like 4 hours or something like that. It's really trip how
cool.
they do it.
It was really neat.
Hey, Ray Kid, thank you for that last super chat, man. $6.78. Said I'm a full-time streamer on YouTube, and Windows 11 was having so many issues, so I went back to Windows 10. Basic issues like audio and OBS nightmare. Yeah, I've been having problems with like OBS tripping up and hanging and the UI hanging. Luckily, it hasn't been creating too many broadcast problems, but I definitely noticed a lot of things that didn't happen in Windows 10.
And I haven't looked into it myself because my personal machine is still Windows 10, but has the OBS project officially announced proper support for Windows 11?
Not that I've seen. No, I'm still running on an older version.
Did I not say to not upgrade to Windows 11 until your workflow software has approved Windows 11 compatibility?
I don't listen to you. I don't answer to you.
I'm only the professional here.
I know you only built the computer I'm actually working on right now.
I built 3 out of your 5 machines.
And the funny thing is the 3 that you built are the ones that are like that I'm still use every day.
Take that off.
So the PC in the living room, that one gets used every day. The first HT PC, the second HT PC, which I think you built both of them, right? Both
the cube one.
The cube, the cube,
the VCR, and your
the big one. Yeah. So 3 of the computers, like my main computer, the computer I play all of my games on, like 100%. I spend most of the time on, and then the living room where Xander is, where they do all their stuff with like Netflix and web browser and everything. That's dude.
Hit me up.
I'm gonna, dude. When you get your little custom little PC building thing going,
man. You ought to be my first client. My first have this and tell me about it kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll do it, dude. Like, even, cool. And I know you need like, to get started, you can't be just like giving out big copious amounts of hardware. So just give it to me on loan, and I'll just fart around with it and dink with it for a while, and then give it back and sell to somebody. I'll sign it or something.
Once I get this, so I lost this graphics card. I know we're gonna go over a little bit, but I lost this graphics card. Oh, I didn't lose it. UPS lost it. They said it was delivered, and it's not. I don't know. There's a UPS guy out here right now. He might. I don't know, man. It might still show up. I don't know. It was marked delivered. It's not on my porch. That's all I know. So I'm bite the bullet. I'm just gonna move ahead with this custom loop project.
Did you check with your neighbors? Because I've had that happen.
I did.
Okay.
So literally right next to me as I'm facing my left, his Ring doorbell points right at my front door, like my front porch.
Yeah.
Like I went over there. I asked him, hey man, UPS says they delivered this thing at about 11:24 is what they say. Did your Ring catch anything? Did they drop it off? Somebody steal it? Did they catch anything? He goes, I'll check. And I'm standing there right there. He pulls out his phone. He looks. He goes, oh, here's you leaving at 8 something this morning.
Yep.
And nothing until 4 o'clock or so, which is about when I got home, I think.
Yeah.
He didn't show me the 4 o'clock one because who cares? It's probably me anyway. But nothing all day. Nothing. Come up to my front porch. It would have caught because he caught me leaving. Any motion that would have come up on my porch would have showed up.
So you think the UPS driver just marked it as delivered and didn't even stop to even put it on your porch?
I think so. And I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly how it was packed, but I think the gentleman who sent it to me just shipped it in the retail box, so it's plastered all over. It says GTX 1080, blah blah blah. So like it's no problem for them to have just like bloop, yep, delivered, and then just take it home.
Yeah, because GPUs are basically gold right now. Like, so I could see that being a product that even a UPS driver, even if they weren't like a PC nut, they're like,
Man,
oh, I know that's desirable.
Jokes on that doofus though, because it's got a water block attached to it. Like you can't just use it. You're gonna sell it, maybe his buddy or something, but like I don't know, whatever. So I'm moving forward with the project without a water cooled GPU. I have other GPUs I can put in there and stuff. So
that sucks, man. It
does. It does, because like, man, I was so stoked. The whole thing was going to be liquid cooled, and I was really stoked. But yeah, so I'm moving forward with it regardless. I have to do a little bit more research to make sure this is the CPU block that's going to go on it. I have got to do a little bit more research to make sure this will work with the 1200 socket. I think so. I did look a little bit, and I'm pretty sure it's compatible. So 11600K. H510i, all that stuff, in a Encase M1. It'll be pretty cool. I'll probably put just for the goof. If it'll fit. I have this monstrous 3060 Ti, and if it'll fit, I'll probably put that in it.
That would actually be pretty cool. I mean, wait, a 3060 is still it's still going to be way faster than a 1080 Ti, right? Or is the 3060 one of those things where it's like super slow, like last gen tech, and they just call it 3 series?
I think.
I know Nvidia did that once. Like Nvidia created like that, was it the 2060 that wasn't even, it was still like the last generation or something like that. They just named it 2060.
I think my 1080 Ti would be better than the 3060 Ti.
Because I looked at 1080 Ti versus 3080, and it was the 3080 is 60% faster.
Oh, the 3080 versus 1080 is way different. It looks, just a quick little look from Ars Technica says 3060 Ti is a slight upgrade over the 1080 Ti in terms of rasterization performance, but it's a big upgrade if you want ray tracing, DLSS, or you want to stream from the GPU. The 1080 Ti has more VRAM, so if you have VRAM intensive title, blah blah blah. Okay. So you might bump into some texturing, like oh, my textures are loading really slow because there's just not that much VRAM. But
see, I think ray tracing is cool, but I'd rather have the extra performance. I'd rather have the frame rate.
Yeah.
Like, and I think most people are making that same decision because I don't see a ton of people using RTX. Like, they'll turn it on as a novelty because it looks cool, like in a video, but I don't see people playing with it that much.
I want to figure out the DLSS thing more. Like, I don't know if it's just certain titles are compatible or what. It
has to be compatible. Yeah, they have to program it for DLSS. Okay. They don't just get it for free.
That's the issue then, because like I jumped into like Mass Effect Andromeda, and I'm like, okay, this looks good. I can play it, high res, and super ultra, because I have a 3080 Ti now.
Nice. Oh damn, you got a better graphics card than I do. Damn.
Well, it helps when you know people who know people, that kind of thing. So it's a Founders Edition one too. It's super nice. But I got to be careful because this cooler, so it's basically 3090 power with a 3080 cooler, because the 3090 cooler is bigger. It's thick. It's like an extra quarter-inch thicker, and I think it's a little longer. So I think that might be part of, well, no, because my machine's like super open air right now. I don't know. I've been having some freaking problems with my computer since I put this freaking thing in here, and I'm thinking I just got to reinstall Windows, but I got lost. I think the 3060 Ti in this little machine will be funny because it's enormous. And if it fits, it'll just be stupid, ridiculously funny to have this thing in there.
Well, with a 3080 Ti, like ray tracing starts to make sense. Like a 3080 Ti is gonna have enough performance that you can enable ray tracing at like 4K, and it's still gonna be 60 frames plus.
Oh, that's right. I did just recently install Cyberpunk for this reason, so I have to. I got to pull up Cyberpunk and.
Yeah, I'll probably do Linus did it. Did you see Linus where you enabled DLSS in Cyberpunk at like 4K 120 or something like that?
That'll
be tripled the frame rate. Like DLSS was like everything.
Yeah. 99% of you don't even have monitors big enough to go over 1080p. I have a 4K Samsung monitor right in front of me that I have never actually pushed to proper 4K. Like I'll play some games in 4K, but I got to drop everything to like medium. So like, what's the point? But I do 1440 quite often.
Than 50 inches. So, and I sit like 2 feet away from it. So yeah, no, 4K makes a huge difference to me.
I think this is a 36. Because like my big one up here is 39. So it's got to be a 36. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the way it works is for like retina resolution. I think 1080p can't go any higher than like 20 inch for it to be like considered retina. but 4K requires like, I think 4K is like 32 inch or something. It's either 28 or 32 inch. And then 8K, like you got to go up to like freaking 65 inch or something before, unless you're sitting really close. If you're sitting really, really close, that changes a little bit. But that's why you don't see any 8K. Well, you do. They do exist, but you don't see a lot of 8K screens under 65 inch. It's not because they can't make the 8K panel that size. It's just you can't tell the damn difference. Like, hell, I got a 75 inch 8K screen and I switch between 8K and 4K, like, and I only notice when I'm about 2 feet away. You get any more than 2 feet away, you cannot tell the damn difference.
These goobers who have like 26 inch 4K monitors, like, come on, bro. You don't need any better than 1440 at that point. It's too tiny. It's too small to care. It's too small to matter. My 70-inch TV over my fireplace, that needs 4K. Yeah, because like I'll watch an old show, like old episodes of Survivor or something that haven't been remastered. Terrible. Holy crap, is that weird and ugly? And like, what is going on here? Wow.
Yeah, the reason I went for 8K isn't for the 8K resolution. It's because it does 4K 120. And because it does 8K, it has double the LEDs behind the screen. So it has double the mini LED backlights. So it's a much brighter screen with a wider color gamut. But it still can produce the 4K content perfectly because it just uses a block of 4 pixels as one.
This is an interesting question from EEDIR. He says, what kind of graphics cards do they use for game development these days? That's probably the card you should buy this generation. No. You'd be a little surprised. Most of the development is actually done on fairly modest hardware. The only time you'll see them like game development companies, and I know this because Puget Systems has sold to a handful of, like, we're talking AAA. I can't name company names, but AAA development companies for recognizable franchises. See, these are words I can say, so you all can maybe guess. But I can neither confirm nor deny. The only times that they'll get like the super high end stuff tends to be toward the end for like environments and testing. Really, it's testing. They do need a wide breadth of hardware to make sure that their stuff is going to work like at least one generation back. But yeah, the development machines are not as robust as you might think.
No, as a matter of fact, when I was at Microsoft, I went to Turn 10 Studios and in Bellevue, and
they do Forza, right, or something.
They do Forza, and I think they even did Turn 10. I think for a little while, didn't they do Gears of War or something like that? They did one of those games. But Turn 10 Studios, the developers actually dev on one step above the min hardware requirements for the game. Yeah, and so then
it's just code. It's just code. Like it's C#, man. You don't need
run debug, so they're not. They don't need the high frame rates because they're literally just running automated test scenarios. And then when it gets to play testing, the play testers use the higher end hardware. Yeah, and so the play testers get good hardware. The testers just in general get good hardware. And when they do the production presentations and stuff and the videos and the trailers, they do all that rendered out live on high end hardware. But they can't afford to give like anything of like 300 devs like bleeding edge freaking $8,000 Quattro cards or whatever to dev on. They're not going to.
I had a look at the most recent order from the company that I'm thinking of. Just because I know that they're on like a funny cycle, right? It's like back and forth because of their development cycle. They'll put in an order back and forth, They're like TikToks kind of a thing. I'm curious what their last like dev team actually did get. I'll have to look into that. Because it's not that crazy.
Remember Crisis?
Because dude, they're buying 10 or 20 of these things at a time, so they're not everybody's getting 3090s. You guys, like, that's outrageous.
Even my dev box,
$100,000.
We only got a new dev box every 3 years.
That's a classic cycle for a lot of.
So at Microsoft, basically, now if we needed it for development, they'd give us like RAM upgrades and hard drive upgrades and stuff like that. But we were only allowed to get a brand new spanking generation workstation about every 3 years.
Yeah, that's classic.
Yeah, so and it was usually a pretty, like, for me, because the type of work I did and because I did so much debugging and I had to like instrument a lot of stuff, they did buy me a really healthy workstation. But at the end of that 3 years, it was by no means still considered like bleeding edge. Yeah, like not even close. Like my Dell workstation was like $8,000, and it's like after 3 years, like the resale value was like $1,200 or something on eBay. It wasn't worth that much afterwards. But if you're a tester in the main lab, every new thing that came out, like literally before it even hit the market for retail, we already had the retail sample, and it was already on a shelf hooked up and testing. So we always got mad because, well, not mad. We were frustrated because a lot of the stuff that we did when, like, if we were developing something and we had to test it to make sure it hit a bug or something, we had to go into the hardware lab and borrow time on the machine to run the test pass to reproduce the bug because nothing in our office was fast enough to do it.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating because it's like, this is the thing you build the thing on. This is the thing where, like, this should be the fastest cutting edge thing, but they'd rather just buy one high end machine, put it in the lab, and have everybody run their tests on it and schedule their tests on it, than to have each individual person have that, because it's just too damn, especially today. Could you imagine? You probably couldn't even find enough fucking GPUs in one place to outfit a team of 10,000 developers. I mean, it depends. The project, most games don't have 10,000 developers, but still, like, hundreds, right? A AAA title, there might be hundreds of devs.
I don't know. And again, development is very much different from, like, modeling or environments or textures and things like that. It depends. The code stuff, the code part isn't that tough. Like, you don't need, like, code compiling is more about, like, clock speed than core count. And you don't need graphics card or hardly, but to, like, oh, did this work right? Like, unless you're looking at something, like,
right. Hey, was it Bungie that made Destiny?
Yes.
Okay, so Bungie Studios in Bellevue, my friend works there. He's a graphics designer. He worked on Destiny and Destiny 2, and I don't know what he's working on right now, but he's an environmental artist. So he's the guy that builds.
I bet he's got a 3090.
No, this is what's bullshit. Is his work computer actually is fairly low spec for what he does. So they actually let him work from home because he has a much faster rig at home with better spec gear, and they basically just have him come in for meetings and they send him home to work at home because he has a better computer that's more capable.
Wow.
I thought that was funny. Like,
they got Sony money now, so it's probably okay.
They can literally just buy him, like, a bleeding edge, because he always has he's one of those guys that, like, if it comes out tomorrow, he's already ordered it and it's coming to his house. He's one of those kind of guys, uber nerd, right? So everything he has is so much better than what he has in the office that they're just like, oh, instead of buying you a nice computer so you stay at work, we're just going to have you work from home and come in for meetings so that you can use your baller machine at home to make these environments faster. Yeah, they even pay for his internet connection too, which I thought was pretty cool. He has a gig, was it 2.5 gig fiber? So up and down, symmetrical. So basically, like, his connection to work, he connects to their virtual LAN or whatever over the internet, encrypted gate, or what do they call VPS or whatever, where it's like it's an encrypted gateway between the networks. So his computer at home appears that it's on their local network. Yeah, and so he sets it up that way, and it's like he's so fast he can download assets and upload stuff right into the game and run builds and get them out to test and everything, all from his house, which I thought was pretty damn cool. All right, well, we should probably wrap stuff up, boss. I know I'm going to go take a nap. I only slept 3.5 hours before the stream, so I think I did all right, considering I only had three now. I went to bed at like 4:30 a.m. or something like that, 4:35 a.m.
Rough.
And woke up at 8:45, I think. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm pretty haggard.
One last little point. So James Janis asked this before, and I missed it. He says, I thought custom water looping is pointless and a waste of money, and the AIO is just as good. It is. So don't.
Still cool.
My custom loop, my custom loop project is more of a opportunity sort of thing. I generally would not recommend the average consumer to, or even if you're going to buy a pre-built from like Origin or whatever, don't bother with their custom loop stuff. It's expensive. It looks cool, but you're adding many points of failure. It's expensive, the maintenance, blah, 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 and you're not going to get that much of a performance boost from it. Even if you're doing like hardcore overclocking stuff, it's not worth it.
Yeah, liquid cooling. I used to be a hardcore liquid cooler, and I don't see the super benefit in it.
There's something to be said about just cooling your CPU. You're not changing your platform, your main core components that often. So, like, as an example, I have a 5800X in my machine, and back of my head, I might use some of the extra parts from this project to liquid cool my 5800X. I'm probably not going to upgrade. I'm probably not even going to look at that CPU for 3-4 years. Perfectly fine. Graphics card, probably the same for me because I'm just that kind of a consumer. But that's where I would say, do not custom loop your graphics card. You're probably changing that more often than your CPU.
Yeah.
So, and you got to tear that shit apart. You got to freaking put.
That's what drove me nuts, dude. That
all
drove me
of the
absolutely
maintenance.
Nuts.
All the maintenance. It's just, and honestly, we're at a point now where you can get really, it all comes back around to overclocking. Overclocking is useless too. You're just putting your stuff, like the manufacturer's binning is tremendous right now. You're not squeaking out a whole lot more until you start getting into liquid nitrogen and shit. But you can't do that every day. That's for one test, and then you stop. Like,
and those phase change coolers are like pain in the balls, maintenance and power wise, and they're so inefficient. They dump like 3 times the heat the computer generates into the room. Like, it's just not worth it.
It always comes back around. I like the car analogy, right? You get those guys who come to the track with their Fox Body 5.0 Mustangs that they put $30,000 into the motor and stuff, but they're not driving to work in that thing. It's fun for one day of doing quarter miles and stuff. That's the extreme overclocking, right? That's the liquid nitrogen guys. Then you got the dudes who have like the nice fucking car that goes fast, but it's still kind of like a daily driver. You could potentially use it as a daily driver, but it's impractical, right? Like, only the most hardcore enthusiast guys who love their fucking Corvette or their split bumper freaking whatever, right? The Camaros, like those guys, they put a bunch of money and it goes fast and it looks cool and they can drive it to the shows every week and all that stuff. That is like your pre-built custom loop level stuff. It's impractical still. The maintenance, the money, the storage, all of that stuff. It's silly. Then you got the guys who put, maybe a couple grand into their Jetta, right? And it goes fast, but you're not smoking guys. You're not smoking fools at the light, but it's cool and it's fun and it's fast and it looks funny and it looks cool. And then your buddies are like, oh man, that's fucking neat. That's my level. That's like, you might custom loop your CPU, but you're probably going to just overclock a little bit, get an all core boost all the time and rock an AIO.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you can't get, like, I think we're both in agreement that water is top of the line water cooling versus top of the line air cooling. Water cooling is going to give you an edge. Just dollar for performance, it's not enough to justify it. Not even close. Nope. Like, you might as well just spend the $1,500 you spent on that crazy water loop and just buy a better CPU that's way faster out of the box than what you're going to achieve with the overclock. Same thing with the graphics card. Well, except for now, because the graphics cards are like $9 million. But
that's the long and the short of it. Yeah, it's not for me. And this dude, man, there's some fucking cool stuff out there that looks. There's this one build from this guy called Danis or Dynas, DAIN something. It's like this copper tubed. It's dark. It's real dark copper tubing. Real freaking cool thing. Like, you can do some really gorgeous work with that stuff. It's just impractical for your daily driver.
I've seen this guy's stuff before.
It's like Dynus, I think, DAINUS, I think.
Yeah, it's all like bent like polished copper tubing. Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, these things are awesome.
Sexy. And as an enthusiast, I wouldn't mind doing a project like that like once a month. Like, it'd be an event. It'd be something that I stream once a week, like a progress once a week or twice a week or something. Like, okay, hey, we're making the next step on this thing. I'd like to do those sorts of like showcase builds. This is my first time ever doing liquid, and I'm glad that it's like soft tubing. I've got the whole kit. I have everything I need. I bought it off a coworker.
Yep.
This should be pretty good. And I got buddies who are into this sort of stuff. Maple Syrup Mods, he does like hardcore, like for companies. Like, Nvidia hired him to build a machine that they took on tour kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he machines he wants to get into machining his own stuff. Like, whoa, like, that's hardcore. But it's showcase stuff. It's like one-off builds that they're going to use for like 2 or 3 years for marketing purposes and stuff.
I think liquid cooling looks badass. I think liquid cooling looks badass. It's just when you have to upgrade it, you're going to be like, oh shit, you got to bend new pipes because they move the connectors to different places. And then you change your motherboard. Now you got to change out all the piping and rebend it and everything.
I wouldn't mind doing commission work like that too, where it's like a one-off sort of thing. I wouldn't want to do it all the time.
Yeah,
because it's just so much work. The build, the maintenance, it's a poor experience for the consumer at the end.
I got sold a raw build of goods on the ones I built because they're like, oh, liquid cooling. It's like it's a closed loop, and you put the stuff in the liquid, and it just goes forever, and you don't have to service, and you don't have to blow. No, BS, man. After like 2 years, the entire heatsink was gummed up. All the inside of the pipe was being etched away by the chemicals that were in the coolant that I was using. This Fessor 1 coolant that I was using that everybody said was like the shit back then. So yeah, it's diminishing returns. Oh, you getting chased off?
No, I didn't realize we were jabbering for so long. I gotta wrap it up.
Yeah, no worries, man. Go. We're over 23 minutes, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for Tech Talk this week. We'll be back again next Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, same bad place. If you want to watch our individual streaming endeavors, you can find us over on Twitch. Our links are in the video description. If you want to talk to us on any given moment of any day, we're usually hanging out on Twitter. So just all of our information is in the video description. Please hit that like as you're leaving the door. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next week, guys. Love your faces. And Valiant Brand, thank you so much for another $3.69, keeping it 69. You guys are freaking awesome. All right, now I'm gonna go take a nap because I'm an old man. Peace out, guys.